Chapter 561. Which ancestor made such a stupid rule? Dongfang Zhengpai said angrily. Dongfang Zhengpai's expression changed as he said bitterly, "Teacher, I'm just feeling sorry for the Julu Academy. I didn't mean to offend that ancestor. Please don't punish me by making me copy books." However, Meng Lingtian didn't blame him this time. Instead, he looked at Dongfang Zhengpai strangely and said, "It was your ancestor, Dongfang Bubi, who made the rule." Uffed. Immediately, the other students laughed. "What are you laughing at? My ancestor is wise and powerful. Is he someone you can laugh at? I was praising him. Do you understand?" Dongfang Zhengpai shouted. Everyone laughed even harder. Dongfang Zhengpai could only watch the Heavenly Bestowment Conference speechlessly. Meng Rongrong kept looking at Yin Chuan on the screen. She bit her lip with a complicated look in her eyes. The Heavenly Bestowment Square. There were 2 easels on the stage, each with a long piece of white paper. Mr. Monroe was looking at one of the pieces of paper and holding a brush in his hand. He seemed to be thinking about how to proceed. On the other side, Sima Yuntian and Yifeng's game had officially begun. Smack! 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 The 2 of them placed their pieces quickly. Sima Yuntian looked at the chessboard with a serious expression. You can understand my layout just by looking at one of my games?" Sima Yuntian raised his eyebrows. Yifeng didn't say anything and continued to place his pieces. Yifeng's mana was limited, so he didn't inject any mana into the chessboard. Only a whirlwind appeared above his head. Sima Yuntian seemed to want to play against Yifeng. He didn't inject any mana into the chessboard either. He just placed his pieces normally. In the distance, the Confucians of Julu Academy all widened their eyes because this game of Go was perhaps more profound than any Go game they had ever seen before. Pa! Pa! The pieces continued to be placed. Mr. Monroe also started to match the colors. Paintings had a lot of colors. Only when they were colorful would they be dazzling. But this time, Mr. Monroe only used black ink. At the same time, he placed a lot of water trays and dripped different amounts of black ink into them, forming a palette of different degrees of black. They were all black, but the shades were different. Bang! Mr. Monroe was the first to pick up his brush. A black and white painting? Haha! With just one color, you want to create an unparalleled masterpiece. Wenruo, your growth really surprises me. Sima Yuntian's eyes flashed with a golden light. While playing chess with Yifeng, he also watched Mr. Wenruo splash ink. Yifeng's chess moves were extremely upright. Sima Yuntian and Yifeng had played for close to 2 hours before the quick chess ended. The speed at which the 2 placed their chess pieces began to slow down. Gradually, they started Mr. Monroe. When the piece was placed, Sima Yuntian looked at Yifeng in surprise. Where are you from? The art of chess is so amazing. You're even better than the virtuous sages of the academies. May I ask where you learned from? Mr. Monroe asked seriously. Yifeng smiled and said, I'm just a commoner from the countryside. I don't have a teacher. At most, I learned a little from my king. A commoner? You don't have a teacher? Did you learn something from your king? Who's your king? Mr. Monroe frowned. Mr. Monroe, aren't you asking the obvious? Yifeng placed his piece. Yin Chuan? Mr. Monroe frowned and looked at Yin Chuan. Chapter 562. Sima Yuntian and Yifeng were playing chess. The 2 of them fell into deep thought. Sima Yuntian held onto the chess piece, unable to place it down for a long time. His eyes were filled with solemnity. Yifeng also looked at the chessboard with a grave expression. For a time, no one could do anything to the other. Suddenly, a sorrowful aura surged from behind. Wah! Waves of exclamations sounded out from below the arena. Sima Yuntian and Yifeng's chessboard was too abstruse. It was so abstruse that many people were flustered when they saw it. Most of them turned their attention to Mr. Monroe's painting. He had long heard that Meng Wanruo's painting Dao was world-shocking. Now that he saw it today, it was indeed world-shocking. It was a black and white ink painting, a scene of heaven and earth that had experienced the vicissitudes of life. The earth cracked, and countless volcanoes shot up into the sky. Mountains and rivers shattered, and rivers flowed in reverse. Countless living beings were fleeing in all directions. The scene of fear and despair caused one to feel a sense of sadness for no reason. Mr. Monroe's paintings were very lively. They were so lively that when one looked at the characters in the paintings, it was as if they were looking at themselves running away. Mr. Monroe was no longer using a pen. Instead, he picked up a bowl of ink and splashed it on the painting. Bam! 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 As soon as the ink entered the painting, it began to take shape, revealing numerous pitch-black devil ghosts running about in the ancient world. Gia, 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 Gia. Gia, 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 Gia. Suddenly, a burst of evil laughter came from the painting. Help! Oh my God! God, save me! Mother! My son! Voices of despair gushed out from the scroll. Countless shioja who heard the shrill screams felt their hair stand on end. In the painting, the devil was tearing apart thousands of living beings and devouring them excitedly. The sky was falling, the earth was collapsing. In fact, in the image, the sun was shattered and the moon was shattered. Devils appeared everywhere in the world, in every place that could be seen. It was a 30-foot-tall painting, and it was filled with endless suffering. Mr. Monroe waved his pen in the end. Boom! In the scene, a large amount of black fog suddenly gushed out, and within the black fog, a dynamic disaster scene appeared. Just like Splendid Mioan not long ago, this painting could also display a dynamic atmosphere. Ah ha ha! Demons roared and swallowed living beings alive. Living beings moved, and shioja could take their place. Keek, keek, keek. Some of the more timid shioja shuddered when they saw the scene. It was so beautiful that it penetrated deep into her bones. However, this was still nothing. Suddenly, the life forms and demons in the black chi seemed to see the cultivators below the arena. Confucian cultivator? Scholars, save me, save my son. A voice suddenly sounded from a screen. Below the arena, countless shioja suddenly shuddered. Caw, 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 caw. There are still 70,000 people over there. 70,000 flesh and blood. Caw, caw, caw. Kill them all. The devils seemed to have also seen the people on the screen and were about to pounce. It was as if the two worlds could see each other through a thin membrane. Help! Help! Save me! Save my grandson! The life forms inside kept calling for help, and the demons roared and wanted to rush out. However, the two worlds were separated by a thin membrane, and they couldn't come out. It was incomparably mournful and tragic. On the square, there seemed to be a cold wind blowing. Mr. Monroe's painting was finally revealed in front of everyone. Chapter 563. How is that possible? Is that real? They can see us? MOU, she said in surprise. Spirit creation? No wonder Mr. Wenruo wasn't willing to paint. It turned out that his paintings had already reached such a level. The characters in his paintings were endowed with simple spirituality. Creating spirituality? Yin Chuan exclaimed as he looked at Mr. Wenruo. The great sorrow swept through the entire square. The great calamity infected all the shioja. All of them looked at Mr. Wenruo's painting with shock and sorrow. Some people even started to cry. Looking at the calamity of the people in the painting, they couldn't control themselves. Sima Yuntian looked at it in surprise. Spirit creation? Wenruo, you've really opened my eyes. You've reached such a level in just a few hundred years? Wenruo put down her brush. Tears fell from her eyes. She was obviously affected by her painting. Below, Meng Ziqiu looked on silently. Headmaster, your son is really amazing. I'm not as good as him in painting. Spirit creation? No one in the Jiulu Academy has been able to do that for many generations. A virtuous sage exclaimed. Meng Ziqiu frowned and looked at the stage. On the stage, Sima Yuntian looked at the chessboard. Mr. E, you can't do anything to me in this game, and I can't do anything to you. If this continues, it will only drag on. Why don't we draw? Sima Yuntian said solemnly. Yifeng looked at the chessboard and then at Sima Yuntian. He finally nodded and said, Okay. This game of chess had indeed reached a stalemate. Of course, Yifeng had done on purpose. Yifeng knew that he had too little contact with the cultivation world and had seen too little of the world. If he wanted to completely defeat Sima Yuntian, it was almost impossible. Hence, he had used a fatal move. He delayed Sima Yuntian, and it was a draw. A draw? Countless Xiozha in the surroundings looked surprised. However, looking at the chessboard on the stage, everyone nodded. The strength of the two was not something they could evaluate. Yifeng walked back to Yin Chuan. King, it's a draw. Yifeng smiled bitterly. Well done. Your field of vision is too narrow. Even so, you were still able to draw. In the future, no matter how wide your field of vision is, Sima Yuntian will definitely not be your opponent. Yin Chuan nodded. Yes. Yifeng nodded, his eyes filled with confidence. This was Yifeng's domain. He never thought that he would lose to anyone. Sima Yuntian, in the future, he would definitely defeat him. The game ended in a draw. Sima Yuntian looked at Mr. Monroe's painting. Great sorrow engulfed the entire plaza. Everyone's hearts seemed to have been infected by this painting. Even after the chess game ended, there was not much discussion in the surroundings. Everyone was immersed in that sorrowful and despairing atmosphere. Sima Yuntian didn't say much and walked toward his easel. He grabbed a basin of ink and splashed it on the painting. Boom! Suddenly, a large patch of darkness appeared on the painter. Sima Yuntian's brush danced in the air as if he had already thought of something. He continued to paint at a rapid speed. Rumble! From Sima Yuntian's painting, a series of muffled sounds could be heard. To be able to teach a genius like Wen Ruo, his painting skills were naturally shocking. Everyone watched quietly. 1 incense stick of time, 2 incense sticks of time, 3 incense sticks of time, 2 hours. Finally, Sima Yuntian's painting was revealed. A patch of black clouds covered the sky. Within the black clouds, lightning flashed. The lightning gathered into numerous lightning-shaped divine dragons that shuttled back and forth within the black clouds. Boom, boom, boom. A series of loud noises came from the painting, like the sound of heavenly thunder, striking the hearts of everyone, causing their minds to tremble, and they quickly recovered from their sorrowful state of mind. Go! Sima Yuntian finished his last stroke. Chapter 564. Boom! In the painting, black smoke rose to the sky. The black smoke rose to the sky and turned into clouds of tribulation. The clouds of tribulation were huge, and countless lightning bolts were rolling in the clouds. Rumble! It was as if the heavens were pressing down on everyone's heart. My tribulation! Ah, my tribulation! Someone screamed. No, it's not yours, it's mine. Did this painting draw out my tribulation? Impossible. I'm only at the 4th level of the Qi realm. How can I feel the tribulation? Sound of shock came from all around. Lightning was about to strike. Vast heavenly might. This painting brought out the heavenly might and suppressed countless cultivators, causing them to lose their judgment. The scene in the painting also seemed like it was about to come out of the painting. Although there were no humans or demons in the painting, the feeling was the same. It almost broke through the layer of film and entered the real world. Another painting that creates spirits? Mo Yushi's expression changed. Meng Zichio's group of virtuous paragons were silent. They all smiled bitterly. When Ruo looked at her own painting and then at Sima Yuntian's painting, she sighed and said, Teacher's paintings are always so powerful. Using the tribulation to counter my doomsday, I'm impressed. Sima Yuntian shook his head and looked deeply at Wen Ruo. The heavenly tribulation didn't destroy the doomsday, it's just equal. No one has completely suppressed the other. My tribulation cloud didn't disappear, and your doomsday wasn't pushed back into the painting. Let's consider it a draw. When Ruo looked at Sima Yuntian and smiled, Okay, another draw? Mo Yushi frowned. Yin Chuan nodded and said, A painting battle is like a battle of power. If one side wins, the other side's illusions will be severely suppressed. Right now, no one could do anything to the other. It can only be a draw. But, Mo Yushi frowned. Yin Chuan shook his head. He wasn't worried. On the stage. In just a few hundred years, your painting has already caught up to mine. In terms of painting, You are more talented than me. I already know that you've been expelled from the Julu Academy. I can only feel sorry for you. There's nothing I can do. Sima Yuntian took a deep breath and said, "Thank you, teacher." Mr. Monroe smiled. With that, Mr. Monroe walked down the arena. "Prince Yin, this is all I can do." Wen Ruo smiled bitterly. "That's enough," Yin Chuan said confidently. As he spoke, Yin Chuan stepped onto the arena by himself. As he walked up step by step, everyone around him looked at him with excited gazes. Yin Chuan had gathered Spider King, Wen Ruo, and Yifeng. They had all displayed world-shocking power of Wen Dao. As their leader, what would he do? Yin Chuan was the main character of the competition for the investiture of the gods. In the arena, Yin Chuan looked at Sima Yuntian with confidence. Sima Yuntian, 1 win, 2 draws. Yin Chuan, 1 loss, 2 draws. Sima Yuntian calmed himself down and looked at Yin Chuan with a frown. "You've already lost 1 round and tied 2 rounds. What's the point of the last round?" Sima Yuntian said in a low voice. "There's still books left. We don't know who will have the last laugh." Yin Chuan smiled. "Books? Haha. I, Sima Yuntian, am proficient in zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. But the truth is that I'm only proficient in books. I'll win." Yin Chuan smiled. Chen Ping, one of Sima Yuntian's disciples, suddenly shouted, "What a joke. Yin Chuan, are you crazy? For rounds of zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting, you have no chance of winning at all. There's only 1 round left. How can you win? You can't win." Chen Ping shouted. Chen Ping voiced out everyone's thoughts. That's right, the outcome had already been decided. How could Yin Chuan say such words? There's only 1 round left. Even if you win, it'll only be a draw. Yin Chuan looked at Chen Ping and smiled. Sima Yuntian raised an eyebrow and looked at his youngest disciple. "Do you have the right to speak here?" Chapter 565. Sima Yuntian raised an eyebrow at his youngest disciple. "Do you have the right to speak here?" Chen Ping's face stiffened. "Please forgive me for my rudeness, teacher." Letting Yifeng play chess for him, letting Spider King play the zither for him, and letting Wen Ruo paint for him was enough for Sima Yuntian to take Yin Chuan seriously. To be arrogant, one must have the right to be arrogant. Although no one had seen any of Yin Chuan's works since the beginning of the Heavens Bestowment Conference, the previous battles had already highlighted Yin Chuan's ability. To be able to make friends with Emperor, Yifeng, Spider King, and Wen Ruo, how could such a person not be a dragon among men? "How will you beat me?" Sima Yuntian looked at Yin Chuan curiously. "Do you really think that no one can surpass you?" Yin Chuan smiled. "Zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting are all books. I've traveled the world for many years and have never met a worthy opponent. The books that my inferior disciples used that day were all written in my spare time and can no longer represent me. You, on the other hand, have 100 poems. They are indeed exquisite, but it seems that they are not enough." Sima Yuntian said in a low voice. "Those poems naturally can't represent my level." Yin Chuan smiled. "Oh, empty words are useless. Let's see what you can do." Yin Chuan smiled. "All right." Sima Yuntian nodded. With a wave of his hand, 2 large tables appeared on the stage, each covered with a piece of paper. "The books have been spread out. Please," Sima Yuntian said in a low voice. "Please." Yin Chuan nodded. Sima Yuntian did not stand on ceremony. Books were Sima Yuntian's pride. He had never been modest, and he would not be at this moment. He picked up the brush and began to write. Rumble. Sima Yuntian's brush was filled with righteousness. Before the words appeared, an extraordinary aura was born. Million Immortals, Pilgrimage Gift. As soon as the title was written, Sima Yuntian's pen moved like flowing water. The brush and ink splashed out, revealing a great essay. The overwhelming righteous energy enveloped Sima Yuntian, making him seem like a resplendent star, incomparably dazzling. Boom! Around Sima Yuntian, boundless righteous energy spread out in all directions. Wherever the brush landed, it was like the source of a river. Boundless righteous energy rushed out, rushing towards half of the square. Why was it only one side? That was because Sima Yuntian wanted to be fair. He purposely controlled his side so that he wouldn't disturb Yin Chuan on the other side. As a top-notch writer, Sima Yuntian had his own pride. Naturally, he disdained to use such underhanded methods. Yin Chuan smiled as he watched Sima Yuntian splashing ink. A trace of regret flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes as he muttered to himself, "With such talent, it's a pity that he's immersed in these insignificant poems." He took out a jade box from his bosom and took out his brush. Dream immortal, dream immortal. In the past, Xiao Chun and Mo Yushi saw a nightmare in their dreams. They refined the nightmare into this brush. Looking at the Xian paper on the table, Yin Chuan ignored it. Instead, he slowly walked towards Mr. Monroe's previous painting. It was the painting of misery and suffering. Because of the heavenly tribulation, the great sorrowful aura of the painting of misery and suffering was slowly offset. Yin Chuan took a deep breath. Holding the dream immortal, he dipped it in ink and suddenly picked up the words on Mr. Monroe's painting. He did not leave any blank space. Instead, he directly covered the entire page. Bitter, 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 the heavenly Tao collapses, all living beings perish, all living beings suffer, the heavenly Tao dies. Chapter 566. As soon as the first 9 words came out, all the spirits in the painting cried even louder. Yin Chuan put down his brush, and golden light suddenly shot out in all directions. It was like an eruption of righteousness, but in reality, it was fate that surrounded it. In the blink of an eye, Yin Chuan and the painting were enveloped by the surging luck. Yin Chuan could not see what was going on inside. He only knew that Yin Chuan was within the range of the luck. He was constantly writing a beautiful poem, and it was a poem that matched Mr. Wenrua's painting. He's actually writing a poem on Wenrua's painting? What is Prince Yin doing? Spider King frowned. This is the first time I've seen His Majesty's poem. Ifome exclaimed. What? First time? Isn't that the poem from the Peak Literary Gathering? Mo Yushi asked curiously. That was written by His Majesty, but His Majesty said that he didn't create it. Ifome took a deep breath. If it wasn't created by Yin Chuan, then it must have been written by someone else. He just wrote it down from memory? But those hundreds of beautiful poems have never appeared in the world before. Who wrote it? Mo Yushi was puzzled. I don't know. Ifome shook his head. What's wrong, Mr. Monroe? Prince Yin is a great talent. I'm not as good as him. Mr. Monroe laughed bitterly. Oh, the heavens are bitter, the earth is bitter, the sun and the moon are bitter, the people are bitter, the races are bitter, the heavens are bitter, humanity is bitter, the world is bitter, and the people are bitter. I thought that painting was perfect because I had successfully created the spirits. However, when Prince Yin wrote the 9 bitter words, I realized that the painting still lacked a true soul. Prince Yin is writing a masterpiece. Mr. Monroe said in surprise. A masterpiece? Spider King said in a low voice. Mr. Monroe didn't want to explain, but there was a bitter look on his face. Mo Yushi frowned and looked at Mr. Monroe. Mr. Monroe, why do I feel that you don't want Yin Chuan to win? Besides Mo Yushi, Ifome also looked at Mr. Monroe in confusion. Looking at the fighting ring, Mr. Monroe smiled bitterly and said, Don't worry, Saintess. I did my best just now. Although I don't want Yin Chuan to win, I didn't slack off at all. Oh, why? Mo Yushi asked curiously. Mr. Monroe shook his head. Saint, you don't have to ask. Although Prince Yin is powerful, Sima Yuntian is also powerful. Mr. Monroe refused to say anything, so everyone could only sigh. Everyone looked towards the arena. Sima Yuntian didn't care about the fate surrounding Yin Chuan. Instead, he focused on writing his Pilgrimage of 1,000 Immortals. Pilgrimage of 1,000 Immortals. At this moment, around Sima Yuntian, there seemed to be illusory figures of immortals condensed by righteous qi. Each of the immortals had an ethereal qi. Suddenly, countless immortal herbs sprouted from the ground. As soon as the immortal herbs appeared, they covered the entire Heaven's Gift Square. Someone went to touch them and found that the immortal herbs were just illusory figures. However, the illusory figures were already very powerful. In the blink of an eye, the Heaven's Gift Square disappeared and turned into a huge fairyland. Countless cultivators stood in the fairyland. The clouds were ethereal, and the immortals were flying around. It was like a dream. It was as if everyone had appeared in another world. Before he finished writing, everyone could feel the soaring literary aura. Everyone looked at Sima Yuntian, their eyes full of anticipation. The immortals looked around as if they could see countless cultivators. They nodded at the cultivators in the square and smiled kindly. Chapter 567. He smiled at me. That immortal smiled at me. Creation, spirit? The fake characters in the words also have spirituality? Too formidable. This beautiful and profound writing has already exceeded the scope of my knowledge. Countless voices of worship came from all around. Jiulu Academy. A group of Confucians and virtuous paragons could only look at each other and smile bitterly. This style of writing was too strong. After the 10,000 immortals greeted the surrounding cultivators, they all faced the 100 saints' righteousness altar. Because of the illusion, everyone felt like they were in an immortal realm. Everything seemed to have disappeared. From afar, they could see the 100 saint statues surrounding Goddess Jichun. The saint statues were constantly emitting righteous energy. At this moment, Sima Yuntian's writing was coming to an end. The 10,000 immortals faced the 100 saints. Whoosh! Sima Yuntian was filled with excitement and insolence. He raised his brush and made the final stroke. With a stroke of the brush, even the brush was thrown out. Bow! Sima Yuntian shouted. Bow to the saints. The 10,000 immortals bowed respectfully to the 100 saints at the same time. Rumble! This bow seemed to cause the surrounding cultivators to bow with sincerity. Bow to the saints. 1,000 immortals pilgrimage bestowment. Once the essay was written, the 10,000 immortals bowed together. Rumble. The 100 saints' righteousness altar and the 100 saints' statues trembled at the same time. They moved. The 100 saints' statues actually moved. Literature moved the 100 saints. Sima Yuntian's essay alarmed the 100 saints. Someone suddenly exclaimed, Rumble. The 100 saints trembled and suddenly burst out with endless white light. Boundless righteous energy suddenly gushed out and soared into the sky. The Heaven's Gift Square was shining brightly because of the 1,000 immortals' pilgrimage bestowment. However, it was the middle of the night and the sky was still dark. The righteous energy rushed to the sky and rushed to the 9 heavens. In an instant, the white light was extremely dazzling. The 100 saint statues suddenly exploded with righteous energy and became 100 times or even 10,000 times bigger than before. In the blink of an eye, the entire Jiulu city was as bright as day. Countless cultivators in Jiulu city were startled and went out one by one. Not only was Jiulu city bright, even the sky and earth were bright. It was as if the sky had turned bright in an instant. Countless cultivators rushed towards the Heaven's Gift Plaza in surprise. Literature moves 100 sages. Vast heaven and earth. 1,000 immortals pilgrimage. Hua! On the Heaven's Gift Square, countless cultivators were shocked. This included all the grand Confucians and virtuous paragons of the Jiulu Academy. The virtuous paragons who were originally angry at Sima Yuntian were all amazed at this moment. Sima Yuntian, your essays are unrivaled. He exclaimed. Rumble. The statue of the 100 saints trembled as if it was inexplicably excited by the passage. Meng Ziqiu revealed a trace of a bitter smile and said, Sima Yuntian, in his generation, the Sima clan has reached the peak. With such a character, who in the world can suppress him? Long live teacher! Long live teacher! The 72 Confucian scholars shouted excitedly. Sima Yuntian let out a long breath and revealed a trace of satisfaction. At the same time, he looked in the direction of Yin Chuan with a trace of excitement of victory. The 100 saints moved together. I made the dead statue go crazy for my words. What can you, Yin Chuan, do? The world mourns. Yin Chuan suddenly sighed in the surging providence. Bang! The providence suddenly dissipated. Chapter 568. Yin Chuan's poetic prowess was also exposed. An aura of great tragedy suddenly surged out. Like a vast storm, the atmosphere of great tragedy and sorrow swept across the entire myriad Immortals pilgrimage conference in an instant. Although the Immortals did not disappear, countless demons appeared around them. Mr. Monroe's painting also seemed to appear around everyone. Help! Heavens, save my son! Mother, save me! Heaven and earth collapsed, and great suffering appeared around everyone in an instant. The originally pious mood of the pilgrimage was suddenly forgiven by the tragic disaster in front of them. For a moment, countless cultivators were at a loss and sorrow. Piety, sorrow, these two emotions collided together. Yin Chuan's poem appeared. Bitter, bitter, bitter. 9 bitter words in a row tugged at the hearts of countless people. The sages of the Jiulu Academy suddenly looked at Yin Chuan's poem together, and suddenly they were all shocked. Disasters appeared around them, and they were on par with the power of the 10,000 Immortals. This is an essay comparable to the Pilgrimage Conference. It's a world-shocking essay, and we can't judge it anymore. He said with a bitter smile. Yes, these two essays are beyond our knowledge. We can't judge. We can't judge. Whose is better? It's hard to say who is better. Meng Ziqiu said with a bitter smile. Bitter, bitter, bitter. 9 bitter words appeared in a row, and Sima Yuntian's face darkened. He knew how powerful Yin Chuan was. The aura of great sorrow hit them in the face, and Mr. Monroe's painting seemed to have come to life. The heavens are suffering, the earth is suffering, the sun and moon are suffering, the common people are suffering, the myriad races are suffering. The heavenly Tao is suffering, humanity is suffering, the world is suffering, and the human heart is suffering. Once the 9 bitter words appeared, the disasters in the original painting were vividly expressed. Great sorrow, great suffering, great disaster, and great calamity. Just as everyone was reading Yin Chuan's masterpiece, no one noticed the statue of Goddess Xichen behind them. The statue of Goddess Xichen, which was twice as tall as the 100 Saints, suddenly had 2 drops of tears in its eyes that bemoaned the state of the universe and pitied the fate of mankind. 2 drops of tears slowly formed on the statue of the goddess who bemoaned the state of the universe and pitied the fate of mankind. The goddess statue was crying. It was as if she had seen the calamity of the world, the destruction of the world, the collapse of the heavens and the earth. The statue of the goddess shed tears of compassion for the common people of the world. Tears fell from Ji Chen's eyes. The 100 Saints, who were trembling with excitement, suddenly stopped trembling. The goddess wept sorrowfully, but the 100 Saints remained motionless. The vast righteous energy that soared into the sky was instantly withdrawn. The bright sky immediately turned dark again. Night returned to Jiulu City. The overwhelming righteousness retreated back into the 100 Saint statue, as if the 100 Saint statue could not use the overwhelming righteousness at all. The 100 Saints felt ashamed because of Goddess Ji Chen's tears. They were all crying and repenting for Goddess Ji Chen. All of a sudden, the 100 Saints retracted all of their righteousness, causing everyone to turn around. She's crying. Goddess Ji Chen is crying. Someone cried out first. Goddess Ji Chen cried when she saw the suffering of the people. Why would a statue cry? Why are you crying? Almost everyone was stunned by Goddess Ji Chen's tears. Sima Yuntian also turned his head and saw the 2 drops of tears falling from the sky. Those 2 teardrops dripped down, as if they were saying something, as if they were pitying something. Those 2 teardrops pushed Yin Chuan's 9 hardships to the peak. These were 2 drops of tears of sorrow. In front of Goddess Ji Chen's 2 drops of tears, the pilgrimage of 10,000 Immortals was so laughable that the 100 Saints retracted all of their righteousness in shame. Chapter 569. Goddess Ji Chen, the 2 tears of the stone statue. Ding dong. Ding dong. The 2 tiers of the stone statue fell to the ground. It was as if the sound of the 2 tiers was the only thing that could be heard in the entire plaza. The 100 sages were silent in shame, while the tens of thousands of cultivators were shocked. Meng Ziqiu and the other scholars all bowed respectfully to Goddess Ji-chun. Mou Shi, Wen Ruo, Spider King, Yifeng, and the others all looked at the scene with their mouths wide open. The stone statue shed tears? The stone statue could actually shed tears? Could even the stone statues feel that great sorrow? On the stage, Sima Yuntian also looked at the 2 tears falling to the ground. Seeing Goddess Ji Chen's tears, Sima Yuntian revealed a bitter smile. Just 2 drops of tears had already told him everything. Turning his head, he stared at the painting in front of him. With the 9 words, suffering, the painting was already perfect. The people were in a terrible situation. What a terrible scene. Ooh. In the sky, the tribulation cloud formed by Sima Yuntian's painting was suddenly suppressed by a powerful aura and retracted back into the painting. Painting? The situation suddenly changed. The painting battle that was originally a draw had a winner. Sima Yuntian's painting had strangely lost. As for the book, there was no need to talk about it. Although Sima Yuntian's book wasn't inferior to Yin Chuan's, the scene in front of them, the 2 tears of Goddess Ji-chun and the shame of the 100 sages had already told them everything. Goddess Ji-chun, the creator of all living things, the mother of all living things, was affected by Yin Chuan's 9 suffering. Even the stone statue can shed tears. This painting is too sad. The 100 sages are ashamed. The goddess shed tears. The eyes of the cultivators gradually became clear. Yin Chuan and Sima Yuntian's paintings had surpassed the limit of everyone's recognition. However, it was easy to deal with because everyone could see who was better at this moment. Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan's 9 suffering sorrow. This was a huge reversal. Not only was his essay better than Sima Yuntian's, but he also brought Mr. Monroe's painting to a higher level. Victory. Yin Chuan won. Yin Chuan, 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. Sima Yuntian, 2 defeats, 1 win, 1 draw. Standing on the stage, Yin Chuan looked at Goddess Ji-chun in a daze. I don't know what the great ancient calamity is, but I can feel the calamity of the great ancient calamity. Goddess, I don't know how you turned the tide back then, but I'm a part of this world. If I'm strong, I won't let history repeat itself. If I'm strong, I'll protect our world. That's right, I'm the great ancient calamity, Yi Futian said. Yin Chuan sighed as he looked at the statue of the goddess. Boom! The sky suddenly exploded, and the god's sealing tome shook violently. The golden light that enveloped Sima Yuntian was instantly absorbed into the god's sealing tome and gathered towards Yin Chuan. There was no need for others to judge. The god's sealing tome had already decided the final winner. Yin Chuan's 9 suffering sorrow could feel the world. Victory was well-deserved. Sima Yuntian looked at the golden light that surrounded him disappearing. He reached out to grab it, but the golden light did not return. Sima Yuntian showed a hint of bitterness. Then, Sima Yuntian looked at Yin Chuan again. There was no jealousy, only a desire to fight. A desire to fight that refused to admit defeat. In the world of light, Meng Lingtian and his 5 disciples quietly watched the heavenly bestowment convention on the screen. Chapter 570. What a powerful Sima Yuntian. Meng Lingtian frowned. Powerful my ass. Wasn't he defeated by Yin Chuan in the end? The goddess actually shed tears because of this. Dongfang Zhengpai shouted excitedly. Meng Lingtian did not blame Dongfang Zhengpai for his rudeness. At this moment, Meng Lingtian was also shocked by the 2 top-notch articles. It's been a long time since an article of this level appeared. The sorrowful goddess? Amazing! Meng Lingtian exclaimed. Yeah, it's too amazing. The 3 disciples behind him nodded. It's a pity that these 2 aren't from the Julu Academy. Meng Lingtian smiled bitterly. Meng Rongrong looked at Yin Chuan on the screen. After Yin Chuan finished writing, he kept looking at Goddess Ji-chun. His eyes were filled with pity. That expression made Meng Rongrong's heart flutter. Biting her lips, Meng Rongrong's expression softened. Heaven's Gift Plaza on the stage. While tens of thousands of cultivators were exclaiming, Yin Chuan looked at goddess Ji Chun and sighed. Then, Yin Chuan looked at Sima Yuntian. Although the 72 disciples were filled with sorrow, Sima Yuntian revealed a carefree smile. He didn't seem to care about losing the right to enter the God bestowment scroll. The taste of defeat, ha ha ha, it's been a long time since I've experienced it. Sima Yuntian said, I'm Yin Chuan. I live in the East Sea. If Mr. Sima has time, you can come to my place anytime. The worry-free city of the East will know any news about me. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Sima Yuntian looked at Yin Chuan and nodded. Mr. Yin, I will remember you. I admit defeat in this battle, but I will still look for you. When my style of writing becomes better, I will definitely look for you. The Yin family's door is open for you. Yin Chuan cupped his hands towards Sima Yuntian. Sima Yuntian smiled and cupped his hands as well. Ha ha! Waving his sleeves, Sima Yuntian stepped off the stage. Teacher, we lost. Teacher, what should we do? The 72 disciples stepped forward one after another, each of their faces filled with grief. Defeated? Their teacher had never tasted defeat in so many years, yet he was defeated today. The determination in their hearts crumbled, and everyone revealed sorrowful expressions. Ha ha ha, it's nothing. I lost this time. I'll win it back next time. Let's go. Sima Yuntian said in a carefree manner. Yes. All the disciples nodded. Following behind Sima Yuntian, everyone slowly left the Heaven's Gift Plaza. In this battle, Yin Chuan became the biggest winner. Tens of thousands of Xiuzha sent Sima Yuntian off with their eyes. No one urged him to stay, and no one stopped him. They just watched as Sima Yuntian slowly left. As the sun rose from the east, Sima Yuntian led his disciples and left. A virtuous paragon and 72 disciples with a flourishing literary style walked towards the morning sun, leaving behind their long shadows. Rumble. In the sky, the god's bestowment strategy slowly shrank into a foot-long scroll and slowly fell into Yin Chuan's palm. On the god's bestowment strategy, a golden dragon revolved around it and gradually flew into the god's bestowment strategy. Roar! The golden dragon roared joyfully. Yin Chuan's god's bestowment strategy was different from the previous ones. It contained a quarter of the luck obtained from the Jiulu Academy. Mo Yushi, Yifeng, and the others revealed excited smiles. Spider King frowned and fell into deep thought. Mr. Monroe, on the other hand, revealed a trace of bitterness. The god's bestowment strategy was getting closer and closer to Yin Chuan. Chapter 571. Stop! You can't have the investiture of the gods. Suddenly, a loud shout came from the Heaven's Gift Square. Everyone's expression changed. Who was it? Who dared to disturb the Heaven's Gift Conference at this time? Whoosh! Guyu Holy Sun brought Chong San and the others to the Heaven's Gift Square again. Guyu, what are you doing? Mo Yushi glared at him. The righteous chi in the one duel was too strong, and the innumerable immortals' pilgrimage bestowment formed a new world. Therefore, the people outside could not see what was going on. Guyu Holy Sun did not see what was going on inside, but when he saw Sima Yuntian leave, he knew that the outcome had been decided and immediately flew over. Yin Chuan, you can't have the investiture of the gods. Guyu Holy Sun said coldly. Standing alone in the arena, Yin Chuan looked at Guyu Holy Sun and smiled faintly. How dare a loser like you speak so arrogantly? What did you say? Guyu Holy Sun shouted. Go back to where you came from. The investiture of the gods is mine. No one can interfere. Yin Chuan glared at him. A cold aura rushed towards the ancient moon saint child. The ancient moon saint child's face changed. It was fine that he was slapped in the face by the emperor, but now this brat Yin Chuan also wants to slap my face? Just as Guyu Holy Sun was about to get angry, a loud sound suddenly came from the void. How arrogant! Boom! These 5 words were like heavenly thunder, exploding in everyone's hearts. Almost everyone's mind was shaken. Meng Ziqiu, Yu Yi, and the others' faces darkened, and they all looked dignified. Yin Chuan narrowed his eyes. Buzz. In the distance, the sun suddenly shone a vast golden light beam. A powerful aura gushed out from the golden light beam. As soon as the aura was released, a huge pressure came and pressed down on the entire square. A powerful aura surged violently. Yifeng looked like he couldn't take it anymore. Mo she waved her hand and stood in front of Yifeng. Yin Chuan stood quietly on the stage, his eyes cold and gloomy. On the other side, Meng Ziqiu stepped forward with a frown. A man in a golden Taoist robe suddenly appeared in the golden pillar of light. The man floated in the air and emitted a domineering aura. "Welcome back, Father," Guyu Holy Son said excitedly. Within the golden pillar of light, Mohina Dojin had descended. The pinnacle of the world, Mohina Dojin. Greetings, Mohina Dojin. Countless cultivators bowed respectfully. Yin Chuan didn't bow. Instead, he looked on coldly and continued to reach for the God Investiture Scroll. "Bastard, how dare you act so impudently in front of this Taoist lord?" Mohina Dojin suddenly shouted. Mo Yushi's expression changed. Mo Yushi could tell that Mohina Dojin was targeting Yin Chuan. Mo Yushi panicked and was about to step forward. But Meng Ziqiu was the first to speak. "Mohina Dojin, do you want to break the 50,000-year rule and start disrupting the Heavenly Bestowal Conference?" Meng Ziqiu's eyes darkened. Meng Ziqiu's cultivation wasn't as high as Mohina Dojin's, but the Julu Academy had its own resources and its own extraordinary abilities. Naturally, they couldn't submit to Mohina Dojin now. "Meng Ziqiu, I didn't break the rules. I have a share of the God Investiture Scroll," Mohina Dojin said flatly from within the golden light. "Oh." Meng Ziqiu's expression darkened. "When Ruo, you say it," Mohina Dojin immediately shouted. Instantly, almost everyone turned to look at Mr. Monroe. Mr. Monroe's face showed a hint of bitterness. Guyu Holy Son immediately laughed. "When Ruo, tell everyone, are you helping my father fight for the God Investiture Scroll or Yin Chuan?" Chapter 572. When Guyu Holy Son asked, almost everyone was surprised. Mr. Monroe? Although Mohina Dojin did not sign the life tablet, Mr. Monroe contributed to Yin Chuan's victory. Mr. Monroe's position was very important. If he fought for Mohina Dojin, although it was a bit far-fetched, Mohina Dojin had a moral standing. The whole place was silent. Mr. Monroe was bitterly pushed to the top of the wave. When Ruo looked at her frowning father and smiled bitterly. When Ruo looked at Mo Yushi and smiled bitterly. When Ruo looked at Yin Chuan with a bitter expression. This was the reason why when Ruo did not want Yin Chuan to win. Yin Chuan stared at When Ruo closed her eyes as if she was suffering in her heart. When Ruo, Mohina Dojin said in a low voice. When Ruo opened her eyes and looked at Yin Chuan guiltily. She said bitterly, "I fought for Mohina Dojin." Wow. Suddenly, there was a sound of surprise. Everyone looked at Mr. Monroe with disdain. No one dared to criticize Mohina Dojin for taking things by force. However, in today's battle, Yin Chuan had won completely. How could he be so thick-skinned as to take the God's Investiture strategy at this time? When Ruo was condemned by everyone. Her face was full of sorrow, and she could only smile bitterly. Meng Ziqiu looked at his son with mixed feelings. Yin Chuan looked at When Ruo and suddenly smiled. "Mr. Monroe." Yin Chuan opened his mouth. The Heaven's Gift square suddenly became quiet. After all, Yin Chuan was the main character today. The person involved was going to be taken by Mohina Dojin. Everyone was loyal to Yin Chuan, but they had no choice but to submit to Mohina Dojin. Mohina Dojin's coercion was like forcing all Confucian cultivators to give up their dignity. But there was really no way to resist. Mohina Dojin's strength had long become a legend. They were one of the most powerful people in the world. Mohina Dojin's oppression and Mr. Monroe's betrayal made everyone look at Yin Chuan with sympathy. He didn't know what Yin Chuan was going to say. "Prince Yin, I'm sorry," Mr. Monroe said bitterly. Looking at Mr. Monroe, Yin Chuan did not reprimand him as everyone had been waiting for. Instead, he saw Yin Chuan smile. "Mr. Monroe, you owe me again," Yin Chuan suddenly said with a smile. Yin Chuan owed him again. The last time was in the Immortal City, when Yin Chuan and Mr. Monroe played chess. Yin Chuan deliberately did not defeat Wen Ruo, so Wen Ruo owed Yin Chuan once. This time, Wen Ruo went back on his words and owed Yin Chuan once again. Wen Ruo showed a trace of bitterness and solemnly bowed to Yin Chuan to express his deep regret. Yin Chuan understood that Wen Ruo was also forced by Mohina Dojin. As for what he was forced to do, Yin Chuan did not understand, but he could feel that a person who valued his reputation as his life actually went back on his words in front of the world. This meant that he had something more important than reputation that was controlled by Mohina Dojin. "Yin Chuan, give me the investiture of the gods," Mohina Dojin said calmly. His tone was full of great majesty that despised everything. Yin Chuan looked at Mohina Dojin's virtuous Dharma idol in the golden light. He smiled slightly, and a trace of ferocity flashed in his eyes. Whoosh! His hand suddenly grabbed the investiture of the gods that was falling from the sky. "You want to threaten me with a mere virtuous Dharma idol?" Yin Chuan said with a glare. For the first time, in front of outsiders, Yin Chuan changed the way he addressed himself to I. Although the word I was simple, it carried a deep meaning. When the word I came out, it meant that Yin Chuan was ready to fight against the world. When the word I came out, it was a declaration of war against the world. Chapter 573. The word Zhen was a declaration of war. On the stage, Yin Chuan stood straight like a javelin with the God Bestowment Scroll in his hand. His robe fluttered in the wind as he stared at Mohina Dojin with his eyes wide open. His arrogance soared to the heavens as he faced Mohina Dojin without the slightest bit of fear. Instead, he even spoke words of defiance. "A virtuous Dharma idol wants to threaten Jin?" This sentence was said lightly, but in the ears of the tens of thousands of cultivators, it was like a clap of thunder. This was Mohina Dojin, one of the three great Tao lords of the Dazhao, sacred ground. Everyone looked at Yin Chuan with a worried expression. Yifeng looked at Yin Chuan and took a deep breath. He did not know what Yin Chuan was relying on, but he did not know why he trusted Yin Chuan so much. At the same time, the word Zhen was filled with a domineering aura. At this moment, the aura of an emperor burst out. Yifeng took a deep breath as his eyes flashed with strong expectations. Mo Yushi looked at Yin Chuan in a daze. Spider King squinted his eyes as he looked at Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan gave him too many surprises. Meng Ziqiu looked at Yin Chuan with a complicated expression. He wanted to speak up for Yin Chuan, but Yin Chuan contradicted Mohina Dojin. This made Meng Ziqiu speechless. In the Radiant World, is this Qi Jing kid crazy? Meng Lingtian frowned. My God, he dares to contradict Mohina Dojin? Does he want to die? Dongfang Zhengpai was shocked. Meng Rongrong's face suddenly showed a trace of worry. She looked at the proud Yin Chuan in the image and frowned. She turned to look at Meng Lingtian and clenched her fists. There were a few times when she wanted to say something, but she held back. In the arena, Yin Chuan looked coldly at Mohina Dojin's virtuous Dharma form. A look of surprise also appeared on Dao Monarch Black Sun's face. He truly didn't expect that someone would dare to contradict him. And the person in front of him was only in the Qi state. An ant-like existence actually dared to talk back to him. Guyu Holy Sun was also stunned by Yin Chuan's rebuttal. Was this a joke? Was this kid crazy? Who is this? Yin Chuan, how dare you be so presumptuous in front of Mohina Dojin? Guyu Holy Sun shouted. Yin Chuan held the Book of God's Investiture in his hand and turned to look coldly at Guyu Holy Sun. You have no right to speak here. Yin Chuan said coldly. What did you say? Guyu Holy Sun glared at him. Get lost, Yin Chuan shouted. Guyu Holy Sun's face turned red. He was humiliated by Yin Chuan in front of all the practitioners. Now, his father was right in front of him. Yin Chuan dared to humiliate him? After Yin Chuan finished scolding, he looked at Mohina Dojin. The Book of God's Investiture belongs to me. Go back to where you came from. Yin Chuan said coldly. Go back to where you came from? Was this really something he said to Mohina Dojin? Almost everyone thought that Yin Chuan was crazy. This was a provocation. This was a naked provocation to Mohina Dojin. Presumptuous. Sure enough, Mohina Dojin was angry and shouted coldly. Suddenly, the whole arena exploded. Everyone's heart trembled. A powerful aura suddenly pressed down on everyone. The first to bear the brunt of the pressure was the stage where Yin Chuan was standing. Boom! The stage was pressed down by 10 feet. However, the part of the stage where Yin Chuan was standing did not sink down. This was because a large amount of golden aura surrounded Yin Chuan. The surging aura enveloped Yin Chuan and blocked Mohina Dojin's aura for Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan stood proudly in the aura. The aura of the Book of God's Investiture surged out of his hand and protected Yin Chuan. Chapter 574. Roar. The golden dragon of providence in the God bestowment strategy suddenly roared and rushed out. It circled around Yin Chuan with its head facing the sky and its eyes glaring at Mohina Dojin. Yin Chuan stood motionless and suddenly closed his eyes. The golden dragon's pupils shrank, and its eyes suddenly became lively. If one were to look closely, they would realize that the golden dragon's eyes were exactly the same as Yin Chuan's eyes. It was as if Yin Chuan had possessed it. Suddenly, a vast aura gushed out. The golden dragon of providence twisted its powerful body. Roar! The golden dragon let out a roar, and a powerful aura instantly rushed out in all directions. A vast majestic aura surged out, and it wasn't any weaker than Downlord Rage's aura. The golden dragon roared, and its head was ferocious as it slowly flew into the air. It swung its tail, and its body floated in the air. Its dragon whiskers swayed slightly, and its eyes were incomparably arrogant. It stared at Mohina Dojin's virtuous Dharma idol with a ferocious expression. I said, "Go back to where you came from." The golden dragon suddenly said, "Ah, dragon." The dragon spoke. The golden dragon spoke. That's the golden dragon of providence. How can it speak? Countless cultivators in the surroundings were shocked. Not only the cultivators, but the virtuous paragons of the Julu Academy were also shocked. How is this possible? How is this possible? Meng Ziqiu exclaimed. Academy Master, what's going on? How can the golden dragon of providence be possessed? Yes, Academy Master. Why didn't we know? Isn't the golden dragon of providence just a symbol? Academy Master, how can the golden dragon of providence be like this? Our Julu Academy has had the golden dragon of providence for tens of thousands of years, but no one has ever been able to command it. Why can the golden dragon of providence turn into a clone in Yin Chuan's hands? Academy Master, what's going on? The virtuous paragons were all shocked. The golden dragon of providence had a powerful aura. Previously, no one could command it. But in Yin Chuan's hands, Yin Chuan, the golden dragon of providence, could turn into a clone. What was going on? Meng Ziqiu's expression was extremely complicated. He shook his head and said, I don't know. Meng Ziqiu in the light world, Meng Lingtian, also looked at this scene in astonishment. Could it be that the legend is true? Possession of the dragon of providence. Possessed. Yin Chuan is going to defy the heavens. Is this true? Dongfang Zhengpai exclaimed. Meng Rongrong looked at the huge golden dragon of providence. Although she was also shocked, she was more relieved. Yifeng looked at the golden dragon of providence and exhaled. His previous worry disappeared. Mo Yushi and Spider King looked at the remaining 4 golden dragons of providence of the Julu Academy with a strange expression. Those 4 golden dragons of providence couldn't be compared to the golden dragon of providence possessed by Yin Chuan. The difference was too great. Yin Chuan's golden dragon of providence seemed to have come alive in an instant. It was full of dominance and arrogance. It glared at Mohina Dojin and released a powerful aura. The huge golden dragon stretched out its claws and glared fiercely. Impossible! The golden dragon of providence? Isn't it a vassal of the Sea of Providence? How can it be possessed? Guyu Holy Sun exclaimed. However, the golden dragon of Providence's aura was real. It rushed straight to the other side, increasing the pressure on Guyu Holy Sun. Chapter 575. Of course, the golden dragon's biggest target was Mohina Dojin's virtuous Dharma idol. The golden dragon of Providence and the virtuous Dharma idol, two pure and ethereal energies, emitted majestic auras as they targeted each other. Rumble, Providence, and virtuous Dharma idol collided with each other, causing the void to tremble. Mohina Dojin also looked at the golden dragon of Providence in front of him in surprise. Originally, Mohina Dojin wanted the god bestowment stratagem in Tian Su to have other uses, but now he discovered that the god bestowment stratagem was actually so miraculous. For a moment, Mohina Dojin didn't want to leave, but to obtain the god bestowment stratagem. Ha! God bestowment stratagem and golden dragon of Providence? What a pleasant surprise. Aunt, I'll give you one more chance. Hand over the god bestowment stratagem. Mohina Dojin coldly said. In midair, the golden dragon of Providence angrily glared at Mohina Dojin. When it heard Mohina Dojin's words, the corner of its mouth revealed a trace of a sneer. The golden dragon of Providence smiled. This made the virtuous paragons of the Julu Academy feel ashamed. Why haven't I seen the golden dragon of Providence smile before? How is it possible that Yin Chuan was able to unleash it so brilliantly? If you want the god bestowment stratagem, then show me your ability. Otherwise, go back to where you came from. Yin Chuan's golden dragon of Providence suddenly shouted coldly. Ah, reckless brat. You dare to provoke this lord after obtaining the god bestowment stratagem? Die for me. Mohina Dojin coldly shouted. While speaking, Mohina Dojin flipped his hand and slapped down. A huge handprint suddenly appeared. Rumble. His entire head seemed to be covered by that handprint. It was a huge flaming handprint that blotted out the sky. The flames were incomparably hot. Even from a long distance away, they could feel the violent heat. The golden palm pressed down on the golden dragon of Providence, as if it wanted to capture the golden dragon of Providence. Virtuous giant palm? Ha ha ha, that's all there is to it. The golden dragon of destiny suddenly burst into laughter. Facing the fiery virtuous giant palm, the golden dragon of Providence suddenly roared into the sky. The roar was so powerful that the void trembled. Dragon's roar and tiger's roar were the strongest sound arts in the world. The golden dragon of fortune let out a roar, and a powerful shockwave swept towards the sky. Rumble. Jilu Academy's Sea of Providence also began to churn. The roar of Yin Chuan's golden dragon of Providence rushed toward the virtuous giant palm. Rumble. When the big handprint pressed down, it seemed to have encountered a huge resistance in midair. It suddenly slowed down, and its whole body trembled. Rumble. The trembling became more and more intense. Bam! With a loud explosion, Mohina Dojin's powerful virtuous giant palm was blown apart by Yin Chuan's roar. Boom! Flames spread in all directions, burning the sky of Jilu City. Countless clouds in the sky instantly evaporated, and the sky was filled with a sea of fire. But in the end, the virtuous giant palm collapsed. It was destroyed by Yin Chuan's roar. The first confrontation between Mohina Dojin and Yin Chuan ended with Mohina Dojin's defeat. The golden dragon floated up again. Its eyes were ferocious as it stared coldly at Mohina Dojin opposite it. A ferocious aura surged out. The surrounding cultivators seemed to have lost their voices at the same time. All of them stared at the sky in disbelief. Meng Ziqiu, Yu Yi, and the others were even more confused. The golden dragon of Providence is actually so powerful. Why didn't I know about it? Meng Ziqiu was confused. In the past, there were 5 golden dragons of Providence, but no one had ever been able to make them unleash their combat power. Yin Chuan did it. How'd he do it? That was Mohina Dojin's palm, but it was destroyed by Yin Chuan's roar? Mohina Dojin was an expert in the upper void realm. The upper void realm. The shocking scene made the surrounding cultivators look confused. At this moment, Yin Chuan had overturned everyone's understanding. Completely overturned. Chapter 576. Mohina Dojin's great palm print was shattered by the golden dragon's roar. In an instant, the square was completely silent. Mohina Dojin was an upper emptiness realm cultivator who was only a step away from becoming an immortal. However, Yin Chuan was only in the chi state. In the mortal world, the chi state was a formidable power. However, in front of Mohina Dojin, he was just an ant. However, the golden dragon in front of them was able to block the attack of a quasi-immortal. Even if it was just a casual move, even if it was just a virtuous Dharma idol, it should not be. All the cultivators held their breaths as they watched this unbelievable scene. The golden dragon looked at the virtuous Dharma idol in front of it. The investiture of the gods is mine. It is the will of the heavens. Are you going against the will of the heavens? Yin Chuan shouted coldly. Ha ha! The golden dragon of providence? You're actually like my virtuous Dharma idol. You've really taught everyone in the world a lesson. Unfortunately, no one can get what I want. Tao Monarch Morning Sun said in a gloomy tone. He waved his hand, and a bell appeared in his palm. The bell was not a physical object. It seemed to be formed by the power of virtue. Even so, it was still a treasure refined by an upper emptiness realm cultivator. Naturally, it was powerful. Ding-ling-ling. The bell shook, and a white light wave appeared in the void. It rushed toward the golden dragon of providence. You want to disperse me? Huh. The golden dragon of providence laughed coldly. Shing! On Yin Chuan's back, the Jade Emperor's sword suddenly shot up into the sky. As soon as the Jade Emperor's sword appeared, a dark, evil aura rushed toward the opposite side. A huge sword energy suddenly burst out and went straight for the bell in Mohina Dojin's hand. Boom! A loud sound rang out as the sound of the bell and the sword energy collided with each other. The two forces were in a deadlock for a moment. Buzz! In the void, the two magic treasures stuck together. The golden dragon of destiny and the virtuous Dharma idol were activated at the same time. The vast power collided with each other, and in the sky, a hurricane was formed. The golden dragon of destiny? Mohina Dojin's voice was filled with determination. The golden dragon of providence suddenly revealed a ferocious expression as it said, "The closer you are to the Holy Land, the stronger you are. You are already millions of miles away from the Dazhao Holy Land, so your power must be much weaker. If you retreat now, I can pretend that I didn't see you. Otherwise, I will make your providence scatter and your Dharma shatter." Countless cultivators below had already turned to stone with their mouths agape. What did I hear? Are you kidding? Yin Chuan is threatening Mohina Dojin? It's true. Yin Chuan is threatening Mohina Dojin. He's crazy. He's really crazy. Countless voices of disbelief came from all around. The upper void stage was just a step away from immortality. Yin Chuan, a chi state cultivator, was threatening an upper void stage cultivator? At this point in the Heavenly Bestowment Conference, the word shocking could no longer be used to describe it. It was too crazy. What I just see? Some were worried, some were excited, and some were disdainful. There were all kinds of emotions around. However, the Jade Emperor's sword really restrained Mohina Dojin's bell. Beside Mohina Dojin, Guyu Holy Sun's eyelids twitched. At the same time, there was jealousy in his eyes. The investiture of the gods? He has the investiture of the gods, and he can fight against Father? Why is Yin Chuan so lucky to have the Jade Emperor's sword and the investiture of the gods? Why don't I have any magic treasures? Stop Father? After Guyu Holy Sun's jealousy, he also realized how terrifying Yin Chuan was. His speed of growth was too terrifying. Chapter 577. Lowering his head, Guyu Holy Sun saw Yin Chuan's body surrounded by a large amount of fate energy. Yin Chuan's body had his eyes closed as if he was controlling the huge golden dragon of fate energy. Guyu Holy Sun squinted his eyes. Body? As long as I destroy your body, You will die no matter how strong you are? Guyu Holy Sun's eyes were filled with hatred. He did as he said. He turned into a shooting star and shot towards Yin Chuan. Swoosh! He held a long sword in his hand as if he wanted to kill Yin Chuan in an instant. Yin Chuan, who was controlling the golden dragon of fate energy, naturally saw Guyu Holy Sun's actions and saw through his intentions. Anger flashed in his eyes. Roar! As it roared, the golden dragon of fate energy shone brightly. It was ferocious and extremely powerful. Boom! The Jade Emperor's sword's power increased tremendously. The air shook violently as a huge explosion sounded in the entire Julu city. Boom! Mohina Dojin's bell exploded, and the Jade Emperor's sword was thrown back. The dragon twisted its body and swung its tail fiercely towards the ancient moon Holy Sun. When the ancient moon Saint Child saw the dragon tail swinging towards him, his face instantly changed, and he screamed. Boom! Under the huge impact, Guyu Holy Sun was sent flying. A huge wind blew in the air. In midair, Guyu Holy Sun spat out a mouthful of blood. Holy Sun! Changsan immediately rushed forward to support him. However, the huge force was too strong. The moment Changsan supported Guyu Holy Sun, part of the huge force went into Changsan's body. Changsan spat out a mouthful of blood. The two of them flew backwards for several li before slowly coming to a halt. At that moment, their eyes were filled with shock. The power of the God sealing strategy. This is the power of the God bestowment strategy. Guyu Holy Sun exclaimed. Of course, what Guyu Holy Sun didn't know was that this wasn't the power of the God bestowment strategy, but the power of destiny. The majestic destiny was controlled by Yin Chuan, and as a monarch, he could unleash a vast amount of power. Impudent! The golden dragon of destiny bellowed. It wasn't clear if he was scolding Guyu Holy Sun for overestimating himself, or if he was scolding Mohina Dojin for being shameless, or he could scold both of them with a single sentence. Shing! The Jade Emperor's sword suddenly flew towards Yin Chuan's main body. Pausing in midair, it suddenly transformed from 1 to 10, and from 10 to 100. In the blink of an eye, thousands of Jade Emperor's swords appeared around the Origin battle arena. Bang! The thousands of Jade Emperor's swords suddenly released a vast amount of sword chi that swept across the entire battle arena. In the blink of an eye, Yin Chuan was surrounded by billions of sword chi. Jade Emperor's sword formation. Guyu Holy Sun recognized it from afar. The Jade Emperor's sword formation was protecting Yin Chuan's main body. The Golden Dragon of Destiny pounced towards Mohina Dojin with bared fangs and brandished claws. Roar! A loud dragon roar rushed over, and Mohina Dojin's virtuous Dharma power was instantly enraged. Evil creature, how dare you? Mohina Dojin roared. Boom! Suddenly, Mohina Dojin seemed to have transformed into the sun. A terrifying fire swept towards the Golden Dragon of Destiny, like a sea of fire spewing out. Boom! In an instant, the Golden Dragon of Destiny was drowned in the sea of fire. Roar! In the sea of fire, the Golden Dragon of Destiny kept roaring. Evil creature, how dare you humiliate me? Today, I'll destroy your body and soul. Mohina Dojin roared in the void. Chapter 578. Boom! The fire suddenly soared into the sky. Mohina Dojin continuously poured the sun's fire into the sea of fire. Within the sea of fire, the Golden Dragon of Providence forcefully twisted its huge body. You want to destroy my body and soul? Ha ha ha! Mohina Dojin, your current virtuous Dharma idol is far from enough. You are too far away from the great Zhao sacred ground. You can't even use 1/100th of your strength. You want to destroy my body and soul? Yin Chuan laughed sinisterly within the fire. Boom! The sea of fire exploded. Roar! The Golden Dragon of Providence's head suddenly stretched out a huge sea of fire. With a tyrannical force, it broke through the sea of fire and roared furiously as it charged towards Mohina Dojin. Boom! The virtuous Dharma idol and the golden dragon of providence collided. To be precise, the golden dragon of providence's claws grabbed Mohina Dojin's body. Boom, boom, boom. The two experts tangled with each other, each releasing a huge amount of strength. Evil creature, how dare you? Mohina Dojin's furious roar came from the sky. A virtuous Dharma idol of less than 100th? Ha ha ha, Mohina Dojin. I'm not an ant that you can knead. If you dare to destroy my body and soul, I will destroy your virtuous Dharma idol and destroy your virtuous Dharma idol. Yin Chuan said viciously. Roar! The dragon head roared at Mohina Dojin. Its dragon claws released a ferocious force as it tore fiercely. Rumble! While all the cultivators were petrified, the savage dragon claws tore apart Mohina Dojin's virtuous Dharma idol. The powerful virtuous Dharma idol was torn apart by the golden dragon of providence in front of everyone. Tear him apart? Mohina Dojin roared angrily. Evil creature, bastard, I will tear you to pieces. I will make sure you never reincarnate. Boom. Mohina Dojin was torn in half by the golden dragon of luck in front of all the cultivators in the world. Torn to shreds. The two halves of the virtuous Dharma idol suddenly collapsed, turning into scattered virtuous Dharma idols. Boom! The dismembered corpse turned into chi of merit and slowly dissipated into the void. High up in the sky, Mohina Dojin's virtuous Dharma idol disappeared, leaving only one thing in the air. The ferocious golden dragon of destiny, the roaring golden dragon of destiny. This was the karmic Dharma idol of a powerful Tao Lord. He had been torn apart. Tao Lord Mantis had been torn apart by an unknown Chi realm cultivator in front of everyone in the world. Tore apart? This savage tear not only tore apart Mohina Dojin's virtuous Dharma idol, but also tore apart the hearts of all the cultivators. The entire Providence Square was filled with petrified cultivators, their eyeballs dropping to the ground. Even Guyu, Holy Son, was completely petrified when he saw his father being torn apart. This is impossible. This should not happen. This does not exist. The virtuous Dharma idol dissipated, and the golden dragon of destiny suddenly roared to the sky. The dragon's roar filled the sky, spreading throughout Julu City and into the ears of countless cultivators. It was as if it was announcing the birth of a new expert. At this moment, Mo Yushi and Yi Feng were indescribably excited. They clenched their fists tightly, as if the one roaring in the sky was not Yin Chuan, but themselves. They were very excited and trembling. It was as if their souls were trembling. Chapter 579. The Golden Dragon of Providence, Tearing the Sun Apart in the Light World. At this moment, in front of the Light Palace, everyone was shocked. Oh my God, Yin Chuan has really defied the heavens? That's Mohina Dojin. That's Mohina Dojin. Dongfang Zhengpai exclaimed. Not only Dongfang Zhengpai, even Meng Rongrong was covering her mouth, afraid that she would scream. What had just happened, the scene of Tao Lord being torn apart, was simply too explosive and too ferocious. Tao Lord was one of the most powerful figures in the entire universe, and this violent tearing had caused everyone's blood to begin to boil. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yet, it was happening right in front of his eyes. Yin Chuan's domineering and barbaric nature was vividly displayed by that forceful tear. Meng Rongrong's breathing became hurried when she saw this scene. After taking a few deep breaths to calm down, Meng Rongrong looked at Yin Chuan again with a complicated look in her eyes. The other three who had entered with him were also astonished. Only Meng Lingtian squinted his eyes. It seems that the legend is true. Someone did it. Someone actually did it. Meng Lingtian muttered to himself. Heaven's Gift Square. The golden dragon of providence that Yin Chuan possessed raised its head and roared. Its body danced in the air, exuding a boundless, domineering aura. In the Heaven's Gift Square, some people gradually recovered from their shock. Meng Ziqiu and the others' faces twitched violently. Mohina Dojin? He tore apart Mohina Dojin. A Chi realm cultivator tore apart an upper ethereal realm cultivator? Am I crazy, or is the world crazy? I've gone mad. The sounds of discussion began to ring out. Voices of excitement and madness could be heard from all directions. From the beginning of the Heavenly Bestowment Conference until now, it had already exceeded everyone's expectations. After today's battle, Yin Chuan's name would definitely resound throughout the East and even the world. What a shocking scene. In the previous tournament, the Blood Demon had appeared and fought in all directions. This year's competition was simply indescribable. Starting from the sovereign personage, they had been challenging the cultivator's nerves. Roar. After the dragon roar ended, the golden dragon of Providence suddenly twisted its body and swooped down. Whirlwinds rose around the golden dragon. The dragon's head was lofty, and it instantly appeared in front of the 5 figures. Guyu Holy Sun, Chang San, Qin King, Chess King, Book King. Whoosh! A strong wind blew, and the dragon head stopped in front of Guyu Holy Sun. Guyu Holy Sun clutched his chest as blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. His eyelids twitched violently. Guyu Holy Sun was deeply affected by today's events, so much so that Guyu Holy Sun couldn't accept it. His father, who had always been high and mighty and invincible, had actually been torn apart by an ant like Yin Chuan. Although it was only a virtuous Dharma idol, it was still his father's body. How could it be torn apart in front of everyone? It was torn apart. This scene completely overturned Guyu Holy Sun's understanding. It was too terrifying and too impossible. The dragon head instantly appeared in front of Guyu Holy Sun, and a vicious aura surged toward Guyu. Step. Guyu subconsciously took a step back. Although it was only a subconscious step, it revealed Guyu Holy Sun's inner fear. It was an instinctive fear. It was different from when the Jade Emperor retreated from the Sword Array. Although he was not as strong as the Jade Emperor, he was unwilling to admit defeat. His willpower was still strong, but this time his willpower was being forced back by Yin Chuan. His heart was giving in. If Yin Chuan did not die, he would forever be Guyu Holy Sun's inner demon. It would be difficult for him to improve his cultivation. Chapter 580. Guyu Holy Sun realized that he had lost his composure. He calmed himself down and asked, "What are you trying to do?" The dragon stared at Guyu and said, "Don't worry, I won't kill you. A Chi State cultivator is telling me that he won't kill me. Is he pitying me?" The ancient Saint child's face was filled with shame and anger, but he still held it in and did not say anything. "Go back and tell Mohina Dojin not to mess with me. He can't afford to mess with me," Yin Chuan said coldly. "He can't afford to mess with you?" Before Guyu Holy Sun could say anything, the surrounding cultivators were stunned. What did Yin Chuan just say? Mohina Dojin can't afford to mess with you? Are you crazy? What you tore apart was just the virtuous Dharma idol. How strong is Mohina Dojin? Are you going to hide in the Golden Dragon forever? Ha ha ha. Guyu Holy Sun was so angry that he started laughing. The Golden Dragon squinted its eyes. What a joke. Yin Chuan, my father can't afford to mess with you? What a joke. Let me tell you, you destroyed my father's virtuous Dharma idol in front of everyone today. Just you wait. My father will tear you into pieces. My father said that you will never be able to reincarnate, so he will definitely make sure that you will never be able to reincarnate. Just wait for your death. Just wait for your death. Ancient Moon Holy Sun immediately shouted. Roar. The Golden Dragon suddenly let out another dragon roar. The vast sound wave made the crazy ancient Saint child suddenly quiver, and he immediately stopped talking. If you want to make a scene, go back and make a scene. Just tell her what I said. If you talk too much and annoy me, I will tear you apart. The Golden Dragon said fiercely. Guyu Holy Sun's face darkened. He had never been threatened like this before. A Chi State cultivator was threatening him, and he didn't even dare to fart. What a humiliation. But at this moment, he could only endure. The Golden Dragon of Destiny glared fiercely at Guyu. Right at that moment, a thunderous roar reverberated throughout Jilu City. You're someone I can't afford to offend? An angry voice with terrifying might came from the north. Every word seemed to be much louder. Clearly, the person who spoke was rushing over at an astonishing speed. Under that terrifying speed, when the last word of rise was heard, the sky was filled with huge explosions. Rumble. Amidst a series of loud booms, a powerful aura pressed down on the entire Jilu city. Buzz. In an instant, everyone in Jilu city felt a great threat. It was as if the heavens were descending. The powerful pressure seemed to be pressing down on countless cultivators until they could not stand up straight. They could only bend their bodies and try to resist. However, this aura was too powerful and too violent. The Heaven's Gift Square was the first to bear the brunt. Ka. A large number of Shioja could not stand it any longer and knelt down. Under this powerful aura, they were forced to kneel down. Many of the Shioja were humiliated, but more of them were terrified. This aura was too ferocious. It was so ferocious that they could not even think of resisting. The huge pressure was directed at the Golden Dragon of Destiny. Buzz. The Golden Dragon of Destiny trembled violently, as if it was about to be crushed by this aura. Roar! The Golden Dragon roared and exploded with thousands of rays of golden light. Only then did it manage to resist this aura. A figure in a Taoist robe floated above the Heaven's Gift Square. The powerful aura was emitted from his body. Just his aura alone was enough to put the Golden Dragon of Destiny in a difficult position. The figure floating in the air was wearing a golden Taoist robe. He had a Taoist hairstyle and a sun-shaped mark in between his eyebrows. His eyes were cold as he looked at the Golden Dragon of Destiny coldly. Chapter 581. He floated in the air as if all the people in the world were beneath his feet. The great pressure pressed down on the entire Jilu city. Father, you're here so soon? Guyu Holy Sun shouted excitedly. Father? In the square, the faces of the cultivators who were not forced to kneel down changed. Guyu Holy Sun could only have one father, Mohina Dojin. There was no golden light, only the aura. This was not the virtuous Dharma idol, but Mohina Dojin's real body. His real body is here? So soon? Meng Ziqiu and the others' faces changed. Even a Tao Lord would not be able to arrive so soon. There was only one possibility. Mohina Dojin was not far from here. Mohina Dojin was here. Within that vast aura, there was a great amount of anger. The virtuous Dharma idol was destroyed. This was not only a slight decrease in power, but also a challenge to his dignity. No, it was trampled on. Yin Chuan had just trampled on Mohina Dojin's dignity. Whoosh! Almost instantly, everyone's eyes gathered on Yin Chuan and the Golden Dragon of Providence. Oh no, what should we do now? Mo Yushi's face changed. In the world of light. Mohina Dojin. Damn, why is he here? So soon? Yin Chuan is in trouble. He's really in trouble. Dongfang Zhengpai said worriedly. Meng Rongrong also frowned. Teacher. Meng Rongrong finally could not help but look at Meng Lingtian. Meng Lingtian did not say anything. Instead, he looked at the Golden Dragon of Providence. Not changing in the face of danger? This Yin Chuan is impressive. He's already at the end of his rope. But his expression did not change. Meng Lingtian exclaimed. When Meng Lingtian said that, everyone looked at the Golden Dragon of Providence. Indeed, although the Golden Dragon of Providence was trembling under Mohina Dojin's aura, its eyes were still domineering and fierce. How can this be? Everyone was shocked. On the Heaven's Gift Square, Tao Lord Black Sun stared coldly at the Golden Dragon of Destiny. The Golden Dragon of Destiny stared coldly at Tao Lord Black Sunday roar. With a dragon roar, the Golden Dragon of Luck suddenly swayed its body and charged toward Yin Chuan. Rumble! The countless sword chi that surrounded Yin Chuan's body suddenly exploded. In the blink of an eye, only the Jade Emperor's sword was left. The Jade Emperor's sword formation. Roar! The Golden Dragon of Destiny roared and shot straight toward the God Investiture Scroll. Boom! As the Golden Dragon of Providence charged into the God Bestowment strategy, Yin Chuan's body suddenly opened its eyes. Mohina Dojin looked coldly at Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan opened his eyes and looked coldly at Mohina Dojin. Humph, Golden Dragon of Providence? Yin Chuan? I said that I would tear you into pieces and make sure you never reincarnate. I'll definitely honor my words. Dowler Blacksun said in a frosty tone. As he spoke, the surrounding void seemed to have been frozen by the cold air. Large amounts of frost and snow suddenly fell. Yin Chuan, who was waiting to beg for mercy, did not appear. Yin Chuan looked coldly at Mohina Dojin and sneered. Did you hear what this emperor said earlier? Yin Chuan asked coldly. Oh. Mohina Dojin looked at Yin Chuan in surprise. Is this person crazy? Even though I am here, he dares to speak nonsense? Go back to where you came from. Don't try to provoke this emperor. Yin Chuan threatened coldly with a glare. Don't try to provoke this emperor? Countless cultivators in the plaza turned to stone again, including Guyu Holy Sun. He opened his mouth and looked at Yin Chuan like a fool. What did I hear? Did I go crazy again? Or did this world go crazy again? He is threatening Mohina Dojin. It looks like I went crazy again. The surrounding cultivators looked at Yin Chuan in shock. Chapter 582. Heaven's Gift Plaza. Countless practitioners stared at Yin Chuan in a daze. Their expressions were as blank as they could be. If they did not experience the previous scene, they would definitely think that Yin Chuan was crazy, absolutely crazy. However, from the beginning of the one duel until now, Yin Chuan had built confidence in the hearts of countless practitioners, giving them a feeling of trust. However, Mohina Dojin was too strong, only one step away from becoming an immortal. This was not the virtuous Dharma idol. This was the real body. The real body had come personally. Could Yin Chuan still do it? Could he still hold on? Looking at Yin Chuan's robe fluttering in the wind, countless practitioners were speechless. They did not believe it, but they were also looking forward to it. Go back to where you came from. Don't try to provoke me. Yin Chuan's words resounded throughout the entire Heaven's Gift Plaza and even reached Mohina Dojin's ears. Mohina Dojin's eyes were cold. Today, his dignity was being challenged again and again. Where did this brat come from? How dare he be so arrogant? Mohina Dojin's eyes were cold. You're courting death. Mohina Dojin roared. Boom! Once again, he stretched out his palm and slapped towards Yin Chuan. This time, it was still a huge palm print. This time, the palm print was many times stronger than the one from the virtuous Dharma idol. The surrounding space seemed to be distorted. As the palm pressed down, golden light shot out in all directions, as if a sun was falling. The intense light caused more than half of the practitioners to be unable to open their eyes. Boom! Before the palm pressed down, the Heaven's Gift Plaza suddenly sank. Just the powerful aura alone caused the ground to sink by more than 10 feet. Countless practitioners staggered and fell, looking at the golden palm pressing towards Yin Chuan in horror. Before the palm arrived, the golden light had already illuminated Yin Chuan to an extremely dazzling degree. In the face of this palm, Yin Chuan did not show any signs of fear. Instead, his eyes were filled with ferocity. He stood with his hands behind his back, and the golden dragon of destiny circled around him to resist this aura. Buzz! The Jade King sword was on Yin Chuan's back. It was like it wanted to rush forward, but Yin Chuan suppressed it. He looked coldly at Mohina Dojin's palm that was filled with immense power. It seemed that Yin Chuan was about to be buried under the golden palm. Guyu Holy Sun sneered. Meng Ziqiu and the others tried to stop him, but it was too late. No! Mo Yushi screamed. The golden light had already illuminated Yin Chuan. In the blink of an eye, the palm print was right in front of him. In just an instant, Yin Chuan would be completely vaporized by this palm print. At this moment, looking at the golden palm print, Yin Chuan's ferocious face suddenly revealed a rare smile. Whoosh! In an instant, the entire Heaven's Gift Plaza was filled with raging winds. Suddenly, a white fist appeared beside Yin Chuan. The white fist was constantly growing in size. Raging winds blew around the fist and swept across the entire Heaven's Gift Plaza and even the entire Jilu city. The white fist met the golden palm and collided with it with a loud bang. Oh! The loud explosion caused countless practitioners to bleed from their ears. The ground shook, and countless practitioners who just got up fell down again. Jilu Mountain began to shake from the loud noise. The entire Jilu city seemed to be shaking as well. Rumble! In an instant, Jilu city shook, and countless practitioners staggered. The golden light illuminated the entire city, and the wind blew in all directions. Chapter 583. My ears. My house is collapsing. Jilu Mountain is collapsing. In Jilu City, countless cultivators screamed in fear. Many cultivators in the Heaven's Gift Square fell to the ground. The earthquake in Jilu City only calmed down after 10 breaths of time. In the Heaven's Gift Square, the white fist and the golden palm collided. After a strong shockwave, the collision dissipated. Ouch! My ears can't hear. PFFF. I'm severely injured. In the Heaven's Gift Square, many cultivators fell to the ground and groaned in pain. Of course, most of them were staring at Yin Chuan. She was the most anxious. She stabilized herself and looked over. Yin Chuan was still standing there. Facing the strong collision, Yin Chuan's eyelids did not even twitch. He was still looking coldly at Mohina Dojin. Mohina Dojin also frowned and looked down. At this moment, another white-robed figure appeared beside Yin Chuan. The white-robed figure's fist was glowing with white light. His eyes were wide open and cold light shot out. He was looking at Mohina Dojin in the sky. He was the one who threw the punch just now. He was the one who blocked Mohina Dojin for Yin Chuan. By Ditian? Meng Ziqiu shouted from not far away. Beside Yin Chuan was the king of the tiger race, by Ditian. Who is he? He was the one who helped Yin Chuan block Mohina Dojin's palm? What a powerful punch. Is he also in the upper emptiness realm? That is Mohina Dojin's original body. Everyone was shocked as they looked at Bai Ditian, who was beside Yin Chuan in shock. Spider King smiled bitterly. At this moment, Spider King finally understood what kind of person he had offended. At that time, he had wanted to capture him. She's expression softened. Yifeng heaved a sigh of relief. There was also a white kitten on Bai Ditian's shoulder. Meow, Yin Chuan, I called Old White for you. Amazing, right? Meow immediately jumped onto Yin Chuan's shoulder and said proudly. Who? On the other side, Qing Long and Bai Long flew in from outside the Heaven's Gift Plaza towards Shi. Saintess, I won't let you down, Qing Long said with a smile. Evidently, before the Heaven's Bestowment Conference, Yin Chuan had instructed Qing Long to bring Miao to invite Bai Ditian. Shi nodded, but she was more concerned about Yin Chuan. Bai Ditian sent Mohina Dojin flying with a single punch. The two peerless masters stared at each other. Who are you? Mohina Dojin asked coldly. Bai Ditian's punch really surprised Mohina Dojin. One had to know that although he had not used his full strength, he had used 70% of his strength, but it had still been scattered by the other party. Yin Chuan's backer? He was Yin Chuan's backer? A mere Qi State cultivator had the backing of an upper void stage master? Dowlord Fury-san was bewildered for a moment. Day attendant, you don't even recognize me? Bai Ditian said coldly. Day attendant? Mohina Dojin suddenly narrowed his eyes. There were not many people in the world who knew and dared to call him a day attendant. No. As the Dezhao, sacred ground, grew stronger, no one dared to call him a day attendant. Those who called him day attendants were all famous heroes from thousands of years ago. Day attendant? He knows me? Mohina Dojin looked at Bai Ditian again and looked at him carefully. He frowned slightly, unable to recall who he was. A breeze blew around Bai Ditian, as if he had become one with the wind. Chapter 584. Wind? Wind follows the tiger? 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 A figure suddenly flashed across his mind. That figure matched the one in front of him. Bai Ditian. Mohina Dojin's expression changed. The formidable martial artist that he looked up to 8,000 years ago, Bai Ditian looked coldly at Mohina Dojin and did not say anything. It was obvious that he agreed with Mohina Dojin's guess. Aren't you dead? Mohina Dojin asked in a low voice. He looked up to Bai Ditian in the past. Now that he had reached the upper void realm, there was no need for him to look up to Bai Detian anymore. But why did the dead Bai Detian appear again? Life is unpredictable. I'm alive now. You can leave. Send my regards to Jingting. Bai Detian said plainly. Mohina Dojin looked at Bai Detian in shock. He wanted to attack Bai Detian to break his past impression of Bai Detian and to correct himself. However, Bai Detian was too powerful back then. He was even a formidable martial artist that sacred Lord Jingting wanted to recruit. For a moment, Mohina Dojin fell silent. While Dao Lord Morning Sun was bewildered, he looked at Yin Chuan again. When he saw Yin Chuan's faint smile, his expression darkened. Bai Detian, did you come out to protect Yin Chuan? Mohina Dojin asked again. At this moment, Mohina Dojin was no longer just looking down on Yin Chuan. Bai Detian was just like Jingting, whom he had followed back then. Although Jingting's cultivation level was not high back then, Jingting's prowess had already been established. Yes, Bai Detian said. Mohina Dojin's expression changed. He looked at Yin Chuan again. Why? Back then, I tried to recruit you, but you rejected me. Now, you want to protect Yin Chuan? Mohina Dojin said coldly. It's none of your business. Bai Detian said coldly. Meow. Yin Chuan saved little Bai of old Bai's family. Did you save him? Meow suddenly shouted to the sky. Huh. Mohina Dojin raised his eyebrows. Little Bai of the old Bai family? Lao Bai was Bai Detian, but who was Little Bai? Although he didn't know who Little White was, Mohina Dojin could sense that Little White was someone very important to Bai Detian. Did Yin Chuan receive Bai Detian's protection because he saved someone important to Bai Detian? After coming to this conclusion, Mohina Dojin let out a long sigh of relief. Everything made sense now. He looked coldly at Yin Chuan. What a lucky brat. Bai Detian's appearance didn't just mean that he had met a formidable martial artist. There were also many connections involved. This was because Jingting had valued Bai Detian greatly back then. Mohina Dojin couldn't decide how to deal with Bai Detian. Looking at Bai Detian, he took a deep breath and said, Guyu, let's go. Huh? Father, are you going to let Yin Chuan off just like that? Guyu Holy Sun immediately shouted. Guyu Holy Sun wanted Yin Chuan dead so badly. His father was here. Yin Chuan was supposed to be dead, but he was still alive and well. Why? Why was this happening? Mohina Dojin looked coldly at Guyu. Father. Guyu Holy Sun shivered and didn't dare to say anything else. With a wave of his sleeves, Mohina Dojin brought Guyu Holy Sun and left instantly. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Chun vanished from everyone's sight. Holy Sun, Dao Lord, wait for me. Chong San and the others quickly gave chase in horror. Mohina Dojin left. He suddenly left just like that. Countless cultivators in the plaza still could not accept this sudden fact. That was Mohina Dojin's main body. Bai Detian? Can anyone tell me who Bai Detian is? Bai Detian? Who is he? What is the relationship between Bai Detian and Yin Chuan? Countless cultivators in the plaza revealed confused expressions. Chapter 585. Mohina Dojin had given up so easily? Bai Detian? A new expert had appeared in front of the countless cultivators. Who was he? He had forced Mohina Dojin back with one punch? No, he had not forced Mohina Dojin back. Almost everyone could see that Bai Detian was at the upper void realm, and Mohina Dojin had left because he knew Bai Detian. No one thought that Mohina Dojin would lose. After all, Bai Detian and Mohina Dojin had not even started fighting. Why? Bai Detian looked around. Finally, he said to Yin Chuan, I'll wait for you in the East Hall. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, Bai Detian disappeared. Once Bai Detian left, countless cultivators looked at Yin Chuan. The Emperor, Yin Chuan, Bai Detian. There were too many surprises for the countless cultivators today. No matter what method Yin Chuan had used, he had forced Mohina Dojin back. He had even forced Mohina Dojin's main body to retreat. After today, Yin Chuan's name would spread throughout the world. In the Radiant World. That was too exciting. Ha ha! He forced Mohina Dojin back with one punch. This Bai Detian is too awesome. He actually knows Yin Chuan? Dongfang Zhengpai exclaimed. Meng Rongrong sighed secretly. At the same time, she looked at Yin Chuan with a complicated expression. Meng Lingtian frowned as he looked at Bai Ditian. There was a sigh in his eyes. Why? Old Meng, do you know Bai Ditian? Dongfang Zhengpai was surprised. Back then, they came to the Julu Academy to seek education. Meng Lingtian said thoughtfully. Couple? Seek education? Who? Dongfang Zhengpai was slightly stunned. Don't tell me you're talking about Bai Ditian. Dongfang Zhengpai's eyes widened. Meng Lingtian sighed slightly and said, Back then, when I officially entered the light world, I only met Bai Ditian briefly. However, he left a deep impression on me. After so many years, he has changed a lot. Really? Old Meng, how old are you? Dongfang Zhengpai looked at Meng Lingtian in surprise. You have no respect for your elders. Copy the words of the sages 100 times. Meng Lingtian said sullenly. As he spoke, he flung his sleeves and left. Copy 100 times? Old Meng, no. Teacher, I was wrong. Don't make me copy. The number of words will kill me. Dongfang Zhengpai cried and followed. The battle outside was almost over, and there was nothing left to see. Meng Lingtian was bored and left. Meng Rongrong and the other three were still looking outside. Heaven's Gift Square on the broken arena. Yin Chuan looked around with the God Investiture scroll in his hand. Congratulations, Mr. Yin. You've been blessed by the investiture of the gods. You can now open the 5th Academy. Meng Ziqiu exclaimed. As soon as Meng Ziqiu spoke, countless cultivators in the surroundings reacted. Congratulations, Mr. Yin. Congratulations, Mr. Yin, for obtaining the God Investiture scroll. Congratulations. Countless cultivators congratulated him, and many Confucian cultivators even looked at him with admiration. Today, at the Heaven's Gift Conference, he would definitely become an immortal legend. At the same time, 100 years later, perhaps Yin Chuan would be able to host the Heaven's Gift Conference. Many cultivators from various sects looked at him with friendly eyes. Mr. Monroe showed a hint of bitterness. Today's battle had far exceeded his expectations. He didn't know if he would complete Mohina Dojin's task when he returned. Sigh. Mr. Monroe sighed slightly. He quietly left the congratulatory crowd. Yifeng saw Wen Ruo leave, but he didn't stop her because he could see that Wen Ruo couldn't stop her at all. Mr. Yi, please say goodbye to Prince Yen for me. I've done what I should, and it's time to return and report to my master. Spider King said solemnly. Chapter 586. I will pass on Mr. Wang's words. Yifeng nodded. Wang Zhu nodded and left as well. Mo Yushi led Qing Long and the rest as they quietly watched Yin Chuan on the stage. Their eyes revealed an emotional smile. Yin Chuan looked around and saw countless cultivators congratulating him. Yin Chuan smiled. He reached out and pressed his hand down. The surrounding cultivators seemed to know that Yin Chuan had something to say, and they all stopped talking. Thank you for your support today. Next year, on the 9th day of the 9th lunar month, near Carefree City, I will hold the Great God Investiture Ceremony. All cultivators are welcome, regardless of their cultivation level. Yin Chuan said, Great God Investiture Ceremony? Most people thought that Yin Chuan's Great God Investiture Ceremony was to establish a huge academy. Instantly, countless cultivators spoke again. I will definitely attend Mr. Yan's Great God Investiture Ceremony. I will definitely be there. Mr. Yin, don't worry. Voices of agreement rose one after another. Yin Chuan smiled. Yifeng, who was below the stage, also smiled. The Great God Investiture Ceremony would invite countless cultivators. This wasn't just a ceremony. It was more of an invitation to countless cultivators. In these 2 years, Yin Chuan and Yifeng had conversed a lot. Yifeng understood what kind of great country he was going to establish. A great country that could accommodate hundreds of rivers. A place where all the talents in the world gathered and experts stood in great numbers. Under the gazes of countless cultivators, Yin Chuan left the Heaven's Gift Plaza. He left behind a group of people from the Julu Academy with bitter smiles. East Hall. Bai Tian and Yin Chuan sat opposite each other and drank. Mohina, Dojin, you will have a lot of trouble in the future. I remember that this sun attendant has an excellent foundation, but he is rather narrow-minded. Bai Tian said lightly. It doesn't matter. If there's a next time, he might not be able to do anything to me. Yin Chuan nodded. If a normal Qi Jing cultivator had said this, Bai Tian would have looked at him with disdain. However, it was Yin Chuan, so anything was possible. After all, 2 years ago, when he had clashed with Yin Chuan's will, the battle between the dragon and the tiger was still fresh in his mind. As I said before, I will not participate in your military affairs. You are not to interfere with the tiger race's affairs. Bai Tian said in a low voice. Don't worry, I, Yin Chuan, will naturally honor my words. However, since the tiger is the national animal, you shouldn't stop the soldiers of my dynasty from establishing friendships with the experts of the tiger race. Yin Chuan said with a smile. The tiger clan was the national beast, and other sects were not allowed to interfere. As such, they could only form an alliance with their own country. Sooner or later, the soldiers and the tiger clan would form a deep friendship. Yin Chuan could even faintly see the future of the tiger cavalry. Don't worry, Bai Tian said with a meaningful smile. Bai Tian naturally understood what Yin Chuan meant and did not object. After all, the tiger clan still needed to rely on the country's providence. Furthermore, he might need Yin Chuan's country in the future. The tiger cavalry? If Yin Chuan used the tiger cavalry, he would be the leader of the tiger race. In the future, when he faced the Zhugong, the tiger cavalry would definitely be able to fight for him. Within 10 days, I will leave Jiulu City and return to the Yin state to prepare for the establishment of the country. On the 9th day of the 9th month, the country will be officially established. If you can return early, come and observe the ceremony. Yin Chuan said with a smile. And once I have subdued the various tiger races, I will rush back as soon as possible. Bai Tian nodded. For 10 days, Yin Chuan settled various matters in Jiulu City. He helped Qing Long and the rest find businesses and purchase various items. Yin Chuan, I want to return to the great Zhao sacred ground. Mo, she said. Chapter 587. Return to the Dazhao, sacred ground? You're not going to Carefree City with me? Yin Chuan frowned. Mo, she smiled and shook her head. I have to return to the Dazhao, sacred ground. I know you're worried that Mohina Dojin will harm me. Don't worry. The Lord has instructed that he won't make things difficult for me. When you establish your country, I will definitely be there. Looking at Mo, Yin Chuan took a deep breath and nodded. And Qing Long and Bai Long will follow you, just in case. Mo, she immediately looked at Qing Long and Bai Long smiling faintly. Yin Chuan shook his head and said, No need. Let them protect you. No. Qing Long and Bai Long will follow you. Mo, she said stubbornly. How about this? Qing Long will follow me. Yin Chuan compromised. Mo, she nodded. Watching Mo, leave, Yin Chuan felt a sense of loss and sighed. Meow, Sister Mo is leaving too. Meow looked at Mo, reluctantly. All right, we'll meet again on the 9th of September next year. Look around Jiulu City and buy whatever you like. We'll be leaving in a few days. Yin Chuan said to Meow. 2 days before the deadline, Qing Long brought Meow and Yifeng back from Jiulu City to buy a large number of things. As soon as everyone returned to the square of Dongfang Palace, they saw a travel-worn man lying on the square. The man's clothes were in tatters, and he seemed to be in a deep sleep. Someone's here? Qing Long's face changed. Meow, it's Zhu Jiansheng. Meow shouted. Meow recognized him immediately. Zhu Jiansheng, the disciple of Day Sex Mo Wuhui. In the past, he followed Yin Chuan into the Feng Shui array, went to the Demon Wind Mountain Range, and even fought for Carefree City. A second-generation disciple of Day Sect. Zhu Jiansheng? Qing Long also recognized him. Qing Long, Yifeng, and Meow quickly surrounded him. Qing Long placed his hand on Zhu Jiansheng's pulse. I'm fine, I'm just too tired, Qing Long said. As Azure Dragon spoke, he immediately woke Jiao Jiansheng up. Jiao Jiansheng quivered and immediately opened his eyes. Mystery? Meow. Senior Azure Dragon. Jiao Jiansheng immediately recognized them. Jiao Jiansheng, what? Why are you so tired? How'd you find this place? Feng frowned. Jiao Jiansheng's expression suddenly changed. He asked anxiously, Where's Peak Master Tian? Where's Martial Uncle? Meow. You're looking for Yin Chuan? He has something to do and went out, but he'll be back soon. Meow said strangely. I want to see Martial Uncle. I want to see Martial Uncle. Jiao Jiansheng said Jiaohu. Under the Jiaohu, his body went limp. He was obviously too tired. You should rest. My king will be back soon. Feng comforted. Meow, what happened? Meow asked in surprise. 100 Saints Righteousness Altar. 100 Saints Protected Goddess Ji Chun. It was an empty sacred ground. Yin Chuan came to Goddess Ji Chun alone. He sighed slightly and held 3 yellow roses in his hand. He looked at a position in the void in front of him. I'll pay attention to Julu Mountain every day. You haven't come out. You haven't come out yet. Yin Chuan smiled bitterly. In the world of light, Meng Rongrong looked at Yin Chuan in an image. She bit her lips and had a complicated expression, because Yin Chuan would come here every day to take a look. Every time he came, he wouldn't say anything. He would only bow to Goddess Ji Chun and then look at the entrance of the world of light. Although Yin Chuan didn't say anything, Meng Rongrong knew that Yin Chuan was here for her. Looking at Yin Chuan in the image, Meng Rongrong didn't know what to say. Every day, Meng Rongrong would come and take a look. Looking at Yin Chuan, she wanted to forgive Yin Chuan, but she couldn't. She looked at Yin Chuan in a daze. Today, Yin Chuan was different from the past. Today, Yin Chuan spoke and brought 3 yellow roses. I'm leaving. I can't wait for you. I can't say goodbye to you. Maybe you don't even know that I've been here. Yin Chuan smiled bitterly. Meng Rongrong bit her lips and looked at Yin Chuan in a daze. Sigh. Yin Chuan sighed deeply and placed the 3 yellow roses in his hand at the entrance of the world of light. Taking a deep breath, Yin Chuan looked at the entrance and was silent for a while. With a trace of loneliness, he turned and left. Looking at the 3 yellow roses on the ground, Meng Rongrong instantly understood the meaning of the 3 yellow roses. 2 lines of tears fell unconsciously. She was speechless. Chapter 588. Jilu City, Dongfang Hall. Martial Uncle, I've finally met you. Jiao Jiansheng exclaimed anxiously. Sorrow was written all over his face. Jiao Jiansheng? What happened? Yin Chuan's face darkened. Martial Uncle, old sect leader, he's gone. Jiao Jiansheng cried. What? You mean Feng Tairan? Yin Chuan raised an eyebrow. Yes, old sect leader died 7 months ago. Jiao Jiansheng said sadly. Feng Tairan? The sect leader of the Day sect, Yin Chuan's father, Yin Tao's master. After Yin Tao's death, he took over the Day sect. After Yin Chuan entered the Day sect, he took care of him a lot. Welcome back. Feng Tairan smiled. I'm leaving soon. Take good care of yourself. Feng Tairan comforted. It's not that I'm generous. It's just that I think highly of you. Feng Tairan smiled. Yes, I'll pass it on to you. I don't know why you've recruited so many soldiers, but I know you must have a plan. Your foresight is further than mine. The Day sect will only grow stronger in your hands. I'll protect it for you. Feng Tairan said solemnly. Feng Tairan? The past was still vivid in his mind. Although Yin Chuan did not recognize him as Martial Uncle because of his father's death, Feng Tairan had always supported him since he entered the Day sect. He stood his ground against all opposition and supported all his decisions. From Peak Master Tian to Carefree City, Feng Tairan had done everything he could to support Yin Chuan. He had even mobilized all the experts in the sect to help Yin Chuan fight for Worry-Free City. After Worry-Free City had fallen into Yin Chuan's hands, Feng Tairan had given up most of the benefits to Yin Chuan. Although he did not recognize him as an elder, Yin Chuan had already treated him as an old friend. Who is it? Who killed Feng Tairan? Yin Chuan said coldly. I don't know, no one knows. Zhu Jiansheng cried. Yin Chuan's face darkened. Before the old sect leader died, he seemed to have a premonition and passed the position to my master, Mo Wu Hui. Zhu Jiansheng said. Mo Wu Hui, the Earth Peak Lord of the Day sect, had always been in love with Yin Chuan's father, Yin Tao. Unfortunately, Yin Tao had married Kong Susu back then. Even after his death, Mo Wu Hui would often visit Yin Tao's grave and sit there in a daze. Passed it on to Mo Wu Hui. Yin Chuan frowned. He immediately felt the complexity of the situation. Something big might have happened in Day's sect. Master knows that you're in Jiulu City, so he asked me to find you immediately and ask you to return as soon as possible. Master said that it's urgent, very urgent. Zhu Jiansheng said with a complicated expression. Qing Long, pack up everything. We'll set off in 2 incense sticks time. Return to Day's sect. Yin Chuan immediately called out to Qing Long, yes. 4 months later, Carefree City, a branch of the demon-controlling sect. King Yimu was talking to a group of disciples. Master, you can't. The bald Lu Gang immediately cried out. King Yimu frowned as he looked at Lu Gang. Even though Lu Gang was the youngest disciple he had taken in from the Geomancy formation, he had a vicious temperament. His foresight was also unique compared to many others. Previously, it was Lu Gang who had helped him a lot in the fight for Worry-Free City. Master, is our demon-controlling sect really going to betray the Day sect? Lu Gang asked with an ugly expression. Betray? What betray? Is our demon-controlling sect a vassal of the Day sect? King Yimu's eldest disciple, Dan Xingzi, shouted. Lu Gang glanced at Dan Xingzi, frowned, and ignored him. Chapter 589. Master, you should still remember the battle in Worry-Free City. In that battle, the Triyu sect was completely wiped out. It's not like Master didn't see Yin Chuan's methods. Now if Yin Chuan returns, it will be the day our demon-controlling sect is destroyed. Lu Gang said anxiously. Nonsense. What can Yin Chuan do by himself? Dan Xingzi shouted. Lu Gang glared at him. Short-sighted. What did you say? Dan Xingzi said with an ugly expression. I respect you as the eldest senior brother, which is why I called you senior brother. But did you cultivate until you became stupid? You want to bring the demon-controlling sect to eternal damnation? Lu Gang shouted coldly. Eternal damnation? You're the one who wants to bring the demon-controlling sect to eternal damnation. 5 inferior sects and nearly 20 Immortal Realm experts have come to Carefree City. If it weren't for Hua Guang's 100,000 mercenaries, they would have killed Hua Guang long ago. Dan Xingzi shouted coldly. Is it just Hua Guang's 100,000 mercenaries? They can't do anything to Hua Guang. Lu Gang argued. They can't do anything to Hua Guang? He's only in the Qi realm. Do you think he's Yin Chuan? Dan Xingzi said coldly. King Yimu, who was standing to the side, said in a deep voice, that's not all. This time, 5 inferior sects and lower void stage experts have come. They haven't made a move on Hua Guang because they are waiting for news from the Great River sect. Lower void realm? The disciples exclaimed. Did you hear that? Fighting against the 5 great sects is suicide. The demon-controlling sect can only go with the flow. Dan Xingzi said proudly. Short-sighted, Lu Gang said again. Dan Xingzi looked at Lu Gang angrily. King Yimu also looked at Lu Gang with a frown. He also believed that Hua Guang wouldn't be able to stop the 5 great sections. Master, Hua Guang and Lu Jin are currently trapped in the City Lord's palace. This is the best opportunity. We should help Hua Guang, not help the 5 sects to divide the benefits that belong to us. Lu Gang said again. Oh, King Yimu asked in a deep voice. The 5 great sects want to enter the Worry-Free City. Once they succeed, our demon-controlling sect's interests will be suppressed, and we might even be driven out of the city. In fact, if they were even a little more ruthless, they would even uproot my demon control sect. Lu Gang said. King Ye's eyelids twitched as he said with a frown, but my demon-controlling sect is no match for the 5 great sects. Master, in fact, we only need to persevere for a short period of time. Master, Think about Yin Chuan. What is Yin Chuan's cultivation level? Lu Gang advised. Essence state? He's only in the 9th stage of the essence state. King Yimu recalled. That's right. He was able to uproot the Triyu sect, Life League, and the other 4 great sects when he was only in the essence state. Now that a few years have passed, is Yin Chuan still in the essence state? At this moment, if our Imperial Demon sect were to add insult to injury, would Yin Chuan seek revenge on our Imperial Demon sect when he returns? Will our demon-controlling sect be able to withstand Yin Chuan's revenge? Lu Gang asked in a deep voice. King Yimu's face suddenly darkened when he thought of Yin Chuan. In King Yimu's heart, Yin Chuan was a perverted monster. His strength and cultivation were not proportional at all. If he came back and took revenge on the demon-controlling sect, the consequences would be unimaginable. Lu Gang took a deep breath and said, Master, this disciple will say something disrespectful. We are no match for Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan is the strongest person I've ever met, not in terms of cultivation, but in terms of methods. This disciple has studied politics in the mortal world, and this disciple cannot fathom Yin Chuan's politics. Once he comes back, the world will be turned upside down. Chapter 590. What are you talking about? How many years has it been? So what if he has reached the Qi realm? The 5 sects are waiting for him. If a lower ethereal realm expert makes a move, he'll be walking right into their trap. Dan Qingzi shouted, Ha 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 ha. Do you think Yin Chuan is the same as you? You think he's still the same after 4 years? Ethereal realm? There was an ethereal realm expert here 4 years ago, but he was still killed by Yin Chuan. Lu Gang mocked. King Ye's eyelids twitched violently. Master, if you can't make up your mind, then it's best if you don't interfere. That way, the demon-controlling sect won't benefit much, but at least we won't lose too much. Lu Gang advised. Master, we can't. The 5 sects are here. If we don't participate, the benefits of Jiulu City will be taken away by them. Dan Qingzi shouted. King Yi pondered for a while, then shook his head and said, Listen to Lu Gang. We won't help anyone. Master is wise. Lu Gang sighed. Master. Dan Qingzi was anxious. All right, let's go. King Yi sighed. Yes. Everyone left the hall. After leaving the hall, the disciples split into 2 groups. One group followed Dan Qingzi because he was the eldest senior brother, while the other followed Lu Gang because they believed in Lu Gang's ability. After separating, Dan Qingzi said with a gloomy expression, Junior brothers, although Master doesn't care, we can't let it go. If we don't participate, the demon-controlling sect will lose its foothold in Carefree City. We'll listen to eldest senior brother. On the other side, Lu Gang's expression was gloomy as he looked at the people who followed him. Thank you for your trust, senior brothers. This might be our only chance, Lu Gang said in a deep voice. Oh, we're willing to listen to your opinion. The senior brothers said. Why are the 5 sects here? They're far away from Carefree City. Why are they here? Are they targeting Yin Chuan? Huoguang? The Day sect? There's only one reason for them to be so anxious. Lu Gang said in a deep voice. Oh, this means that Yin Chuan, Huoguang, and the Day sect are able to threaten them. Although I don't see anything threatening them right now, but with such a grand occasion, Yin Chuan and the Day sect must have a hidden and powerful side. Not only can we not sit by and do nothing, we have to help Huoguang. Adding flowers to embroidery is easy, but providing help in times of need is precious. Moreover, if we really ignore them and don't help Huoguang, it will also be a betrayal of the alliance. When Yin Chuan returns, our demon-controlling sect may face another calamity. Moreover, even if we don't care if the 5 great sects snatch Carefree City, will they share the benefits with our demon-controlling sect? Lu Gang said in a low voice. Junior brother is wise. The senior brothers nodded in agreement. Master has his own considerations, but we have to do something. Even if something happens, we have to keep Master out of it. Keeping the demon-controlling sect out of it is our own decision. If my guess is correct, the demon-controlling sect will definitely rise to power. Lu Gang said solemnly. We'll listen to you. The senior brothers replied instantly. Carefree city, on the floating island of the city lord. Kings of Hell's Palace. Outside King of Hell's Palace, Lu Jean stood on the floating island with a horsetail whisk in her hand. Overlooking the entire carefree city, her face was incomparably gloomy. Outside King of Hell's Palace, there were 50 men in armor standing. Each of them had a cold and arrogant expression, and killing intent radiated in all directions. 50 men in armor, each holding a spear or a longbow, quietly stood guard outside the main hall. Lu Jean slowly walked back. Eunuch Lu, one of the men in armor, greeted respectfully. Generals, thank you for your hard work, Lu Jean said with a smile. It's not hard at all. As long as we don't leave the floating island, those Immortal Realm experts won't make things difficult for us. We 50 Chi Realm experts only need to protect King of Hell's Palace. The man in armor smiled bitterly. It will pass. Lu Jean comforted him with a smile. Eunuch Lu, don't worry. Tainyo, only admire Master, no, and my king. I believe that Master will be able to resolve this crisis. We have all experienced Master strength. Immortal Realm? Master has the will of the stars. He may not lose. We will always be loyal to Master and our king, the man in armor said. Looking at King of Hell's Palace, Lu Jean nodded and said, the crisis will pass, and our king will return. Those rascals will eventually be trampled under your feet. Now that we're trapped here, we just have to wait for Huoguang to come out of seclusion. Then, we will slaughter our way out and gather the army to capture those rascals in one fell swoop. Yes, the group of Chi Realm experts replied in unison. The First Legion had become the spiritual pillar of the army. Strict discipline and a strong sense of military awareness. They were no longer the disorganized army of mercenaries. Chapter 591. After 4 months, Yin Chuan had finally returned from Jilu City. He landed on the peak of a mountain. There were 4 people and 1 cat in total. Yin Chuan, Yifeng, Qinglong, Zhu Jiansheng, and Miao. Qinglong, bring Yifeng to Carefree City. Be careful of Yifeng's safety, Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Rest assured, young master. Qinglong nodded solemnly. Carefree City? Zhu Jiansheng asked doubtfully. If Day's sect is in trouble, Carefree City must be in trouble too. Yin Chuan shook his head. Let's go, Yin Chuan said. As he spoke, Yin Chuan brought Zhu Jiansheng and shot towards Day's sect. Qinglong brought Yifeng and flew towards Carefree City. Day's sect. Black Peak Hall. 3 figures stood in the hall. Black Peak's Peak Master Feng Tianyu, Jiang Nan, and a black-robed man. Feng Tianyu, Feng Tyrant's son, Dubai. Jiang Nan was the 3rd-generation senior. When Yin Chuan entered Day's sect, he was facing his 2nd heavenly tribulation. He was battered and exhausted by the heavenly tribulation of 3,000 heavenly peak soldiers. Peak Master, it's time, Jiang Nan said solemnly. Feng Tianyu frowned. That's right, Feng Tianyu. If it's yours, it should be held in your hands. Half of the Day's sect disciples are supporting you. Your father is Feng Tyrant. It's only right for you to inherit the Day's sect. The black-robed man said in a deep voice. Feng Tianyu looked at the black-robed man with a complicated expression. Peak Master, if we don't go now, when will we? Jiang Nan asked anxiously. Feng Tianyu looked at Jiang Nan with disgust in his eyes. I'm worried that Mo Wu Hui won't give up so easily. Feng Tianyu frowned. Ha, don't worry. Mo Wu Hui is just an arrow at the end of its flight. I guarantee that when you go, you will definitely be able to take back the sect leader position that belongs to you. The black-robed man laughed in a deep voice. That's right, Peak Lord. The Great Winged Heaven School has sent a total of 10 experts here. 5 of them are heading to the Worry-Free City, while the other 5 are here to assist Peak Lord. It'll be a piece of cake for you to obtain the sect lord's position. Jiang Nan urged. That's right, Feng Tianyu. You can't turn back now. If you want to do something, then do it thoroughly. The black-robed man said coldly. Haha, good. Since it has come to this, I might as well take the position of sect master. Jiangnan, go and inform the other disciples. We will head to the great river hall and force him to abdicate. Feng Tianyu said in a deep voice. Yes. Jiangnan nodded and left the hall. The Great River Hall, the main peak of Day's sect. Inside the Great River Hall, there were 3 figures standing there. The pale-faced Mo Wu Hui. There were also 2 white-haired and white-browed elders. Mo Wu Hui bowed solemnly to the 2 elders. Elders, I shouldn't have disturbed you. However, I have no choice. The Day sect is about to be destroyed. Wu Hui has disturbed you. Mo Wu Hui said bitterly. Mo Wu Hui, let me take a look at your injuries. One of the elders stepped forward. Mo Wu Hui took a step back and shook his head in refusal. Elders, there's no need to help me check. I know my own body best. Let's deal with the crisis at hand. The 2 elders nodded and frowned deeply. Feng Tairan, how did he die? One of the elders asked in a deep voice. Mo Wu Hui revealed a bitter smile and shook his head. I'm not sure. However, the old sect leader seemed to have sensed something, so he let me take over the sect leader position in advance. You're not sure? One of the elders frowned. Chapter 592. The old sect leader emphasized that we cannot let his son, Feng Tianyu, take over the position of sect leader. However, Feng Tianyu has gathered half of the first-generation disciples to support him. They are ready to force me to abdicate. Mo Wu Hui frowned. Feng Tianyu? That brat is a bastard. Although we have ignored the matters of the Day sect for many years, I believe in Feng Tairan. Since he supports you, we will also support you. An elder said in a deep voice. That's right. With the 2 of us here, Feng Tianyu won't be able to cause much trouble. Another elder said in a deep voice. Mo Wu Hui smiled bitterly and shook his head. Elders, you may not know, but the situation in the Day sect is extremely complicated now. Not only are there conflicts between the 2 sects, but there are also other sects outside. Even with the help of the 2 elders, it will be difficult to stop them. Outer sect? What? How is that possible? An elder said in a deep voice. So what if they're outer sect? We have reached the lower emptiness realm not long ago. We will do everything for you. Mo Wu Hui smiled bitterly and shook his head. No, the 2 elders, the enemy is powerful. There might be an emptiness realm expert. What? The 2 elders stared in surprise. The old sect leader is already at the peak of the God realm. Who can kill him secretly? Mo Wu Hui frowned. The 2 elders were silent for a while. I don't expect the 2 of you to get rid of the enemy. I only ask the 2 of you to buy me some time. Mo Wu Hui said solemnly. The 2 elders frowned. Finally, they nodded and said, Okay, stop. Without the sect leader's permission, no one is allowed to come near. Suddenly, a loud noise came from outside the hall. Elders, please step back. Mo Wu Hui said solemnly. The 2 elders looked at each other and finally nodded. The moment the 2 elders entered the side hall. Bang! The door of the main hall opened with a loud bang. Mo Wu Hui swung his white Taoist robe and looked coldly outside the main hall. Suddenly, a large number of Day sect disciples rushed into the main hall. They were obviously divided into 2 groups. One group had 40 people. The Peak Master of Yellow Peak, Gao Bufan, the 7 swordsmen, Duan Sanshu, and Feng Tairan's grandson, Feng Xiao. The other side was led by Feng Tianyu. He led 5 Immortal State warriors of the Day sect, 40 Chi State warriors, and 20 black-robed men into the room. Feng Tianyu and Mo Wu Hui looked at each other coldly. Mo Wu Hui, my father had instructed me to take over the position of sect master. I don't know how you tricked my father into giving you the Tian Su, but if you hand it over now, I will let you continue to be the Earth Peak's Peak Lord. Feng Tianyu said in a low voice. Mo Wu Hui's face was gloomy as he looked coldly at Feng Tianyu. Father, what did you become like this? A voice came from behind Mo Wu Hui. It was Feng Tianyu's son, Feng Xiao. Feng Xiao, the grandson of Feng Tairan, used to be a famous playboy of the Day sect. After being taught a few lessons by Yin Chuan, his temperament matured and he had been working hard on his cultivation. At this moment, Feng Tianyu was forcing the abdication, and Feng Xiao was actually standing on the opposite side of Feng Tianyu. Unfilial son, what are you doing? Feng Tianyu's face darkened. Feng Xiao shook his head and said with a sad face, Father, the position of sect master was passed to martial Uncle Mo by grandfather. Many people saw it at that time, and I was also by your side. Why did you lie? Unfilial son, you have no right to speak here. Feng Tianyu glared at him and scolded. Yes, junior brother. At this time, you are not helping your father, but helping an outsider? Jiang Nan said indifferently. Chapter 593. Feng Xiao glared at Jiang Nan and said, Shut up, Jiang Nan. I was wrong about you. You are a villain. Oomph. Jiang Nan's eyes turned cold. Turning around, Feng Xiao looked at Feng Tianyu and said, Father, you have already lost an arm. What's the point of fighting for the position of sect leader? The day sect was passed down to martial Uncle Mo by Grandpa. Do you want to disturb the peace of the day sect by allying with outsiders? Father, stop. Feng Xiao said sadly. Slap. Feng Tianyu slapped Feng Xiao's face. You have no right to talk about my matters. Go home. Feng Tianyu said coldly. Feng Xiao covered his mouth and tears rolled down his face. Father, you have never hit me. You have never hit me. You hit me? Mother, grandmother, can your spirits in heaven see this? Father has changed. Father hit me. Father disobeyed Grandpa. Seeing his son's sadness, Feng Tianyu's eyes flashed with pity, but he still looked at Feng Xiao coldly. Go home, Feng Tianyu said coldly. No, I will not go home. Father, I don't know why you become like this, but this is Grandpa's decision. Also, I know that the men in black behind you are not good people. I know that you were forced. I will not agree to it. I will not go back, Feng Xiao said stubbornly. You. Feng Tianyu's face darkened. Feng Tianyu suddenly moved. Before Feng Xiao could react, he slapped the back of Feng Xiao's head. Feng Xiao's body went soft, and he fainted. Feng Tianyu. Mo Wu Hui glared. Feng Xiao is my son. I am in charge of my son. Do you want to interfere? Feng Tianyu said coldly. Send my son back. Feng Tianyu said to a Qi Jing cultivator. Yes. Feng Xiao was quickly taken away. After Feng Xiao was taken away, Feng Tianyu regained his momentum and looked coldly at Mo Wu Hui. Mo Wu Hui, hand over the Tian Su. It should not be yours. Feng Tianyu said seriously. Yes, Mo Wu Hui. The Tian Su should be inherited by Feng Tianyu. You must return it to Feng Tianyu. You bewitched Feng Tairan and made him give you the Tian Su. Aren't you going to return it to Feng Tianyu? The 5 Immortal State warriors who supported Feng Tianyu said one after another. Scoundrel, Feng Tai Ran personally seduced me. I saw it with my own eyes. How can I be bewitched? Duan Sanshu said in a deep voice. Although you are disciples of the first generation, you have no right to participate in the government affairs of the Day sect. Do you have the right to speak? Gao Bufan said coldly. Mo Wu Hui coldly looked at the group of people before finally looking at the 20 black-robed figures. He then looked at Feng Tianyu. Feng Tianyu looked at Mo Wu Hui with a complicated expression. His eyes seemed to be telling Mo Wu Hui to hand over the Tian Su to him first and talk about the rest later. Mo Wu Hui could see the look in Feng Tianyu's eyes. He could also feel that Feng Tianyu might have some hidden troubles. However, Mo Wu Hui still shook his head. Tian Su, I will not hand it over to you. Never. Bastard. Mo Wu Hui, do you really want to cause internal strife in my Day sect? Mo Wu Hui, you are not qualified to be the sect leader. Feng Tianyu, you deceived your master and destroyed your ancestors. How can you face your father? In the Day Hall, there was a lot of noise. Swords were drawn and bows were bent. It was as if a big battle would break out at any time. Almost all the disciples of the Day sect had gathered at the foot of the main peak. The disciples of both sides were ready to fight. A civil war was imminent. At the entrance of the Day sect, it was empty. The breeze rolled up the smoke and dust in the surroundings. It looked extremely desolate and cold. Suddenly, Yin Chuan and Zhu Jiansheng landed in front of the entrance. Standing at the entrance, the two looked around the Day sect. The disciples who used to go in and out were gone. The disciples who used to fly around were also gone. Looking at the interior of the Day sect from the entrance, it was quiet and deserted. Martial uncle? Zhu Jiansheng's face darkened. Let's go back. Yin Chuan took a deep breath and stepped into the Day sect. Chapter 594. Worry-Free City. On the floating island of the City Lord Mansion, Lu Jin stood at the edge of the floating island and looked around coldly. Eunuch Lu, why don't we charge again? An armored general stepped forward. Lu Jin shook her head. No need. Huo Guang is already prepared. As long as there are no orders for a long time, the army will immediately rush back from all directions. You just need to wait. The armored general nodded. However, the 3,000 guards in the city did not come to defend. It seems that the 3,000 guards in the city have been subdued. It seems that there are many people from the 5 sections. Lu Jin frowned. How can this be? The 3,000 guards are well trained. How can they all be subdued? Even if they escaped, this is our home ground. How can they be caught by the 5 sects? The armored general frowned. There's only one possibility. Lu Jin's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. Eunuch Lu, are you saying that the Imperial Demon Sect betrayed us? The armored general was shocked. Not only the Imperial Demon Sect, but also the Day Sect. Lu Jin's tone was gloomy. Day Sect? How is that possible? The armored general was shocked. Nothing is impossible. Some time ago, the disciples of the Day Sect were rotated. At that time, I was still wondering why they were all replaced by disciples of the Black Peak. If the Day Sect and the Imperial Demon Sect did not betray us, how can the 3,000 guards' whereabouts be exposed? Lu Jin's eyes were gloomy. My king is right. There can only be one government in a city. If several forces control a city, something will happen sooner or later. If this battle is over, the forces of the Day Sect and the Imperial Demon Sect must be wiped out. Lu Jin flung her horsetail whisk and said coldly. Then, Eunuch Lu, what do you plan to do now? The armored general was worried. We can't go out now. As long as we guard Huo Guang and wait for him to break through, we can go out. Outside, the army of 100,000 will be back soon. Don't worry, everything will pass. Anyone who schemed against us will have to pay a heavy price. Lu Jin said coldly. Yes. Lu Jin looked down at the surroundings. Not far below the floating island, in a courtyard, there was also a group of people looking up at the sky. The 20 people were all dressed in luxurious robes. They coldly glanced at the floating island and then walked toward the side hall. As for the main palace, it was still closed. In the side hall, 20 Immortal State warriors and a bunch of Chi State warriors? It's really funny. A man laughed bitterly. What's so funny? Isn't our sect's elder, a lower void realm expert, also sitting in the main hall? Another man said in a deep voice. Sect Master Mo.E., you're right, but this matter is still a little strange. The man smiled bitterly. I know what you're thinking. Our 5 sects brought 8,000 disciples into Worry-Free City. Logically speaking, we should have been able to clean up everything and take control of the city swiftly. However, we didn't do so. Instead, we cooperated with the Day Sect and the Imperial Demon Sect. Sect Master Mo.E. laughed. Yeah, then what does Huo Guang have? Weren't the 3,000 guards all captured and imprisoned by us? Wouldn't it be fine if we captured Huo Guang? Why do we have to do so much? The man complained. This is an order from the Great Winged Heaven School. It seems that someone is interested in the army of 100,000. Sect Master Mo.E. shook his head. Interested in the army of 100,000? That's right. The Great Winged Heaven School wants to subdue the army of 100,000. Mo.E. nodded. Chapter 595. Oh, who wants her? Is it Shinkuin Kuroha? Everyone looked at Sect Master Mo.E. curiously. Sect Master Mo.E. shook his head and smiled wryly. He took a deep breath and said, Everyone, do you remember the scene when we surrounded the Day Sect more than 10 years ago? Then, All the Immortal State warriors narrowed their eyes. Sect Master Mo. Are you talking about Emperor Mo Ku from the West? An Immortal State warrior raised his eyebrows. Speaking of Emperor Mo Ku, all the Immortal State warriors tensed up. Back then, Emperor Mo Ku came from the west to the east and supported Shinkuin Kuroha to become the sect master of the Great Winged Heaven School. Then he used the Great Winged Heaven School to mobilize 100 sects to surround the Day sect and finally killed Yin Tao and his wife. His strength and means shocked all the Immortal State warriors. It's the messenger of Emperor Mo Ku. I also heard from the elders that the messenger is called Great Wisdom Bodhisattva. Mo. Whispered. Bodhisattva? A bodhisattva's karmic rank is equal to a perfected cultivator. Emperor Mo Ku sent a bodhisattva? The Immortal State warriors frowned. We'll do as you say. Don't complain anymore. Mo. Said in a deep voice. The Immortal State warriors nodded. While the Immortal State warriors were talking, a disciple walked into the hall. Uncles, Dan Xingzi of the demon-controlling sect wants to see you. Oh, let him in. Mo. Was surprised. In a secluded valley in Carefree City, there were many houses in the valley. Lu Gang touched his bald head and looked at the 50 men and women tied up in the yard. A group of disciples of the demon-controlling sect stood behind Lu Gang. Are you Lu Gang from the demon-controlling sect? What do you want? A man who was tied up yelled. My father is Mo. If you dare to catch me, my father will kill your whole family. Another man who was tied up yelled. The 50 men and women who were tied up looked at Lu Gang in horror. Junior Marshal Brother Lu Gang, these people are all close relatives of divine realm experts from the 5 great sects. We've caught them all. A disciple of the demon-controlling sect said with a smile. Lu Gang looked at the people who were tied up and nodded. Then, he turned to look at the group of senior brothers. Senior brothers, you've done a great job. Did the 5 great sects really think that it would be easy this time? He actually brought his family members along? Lu Gang laughed. Close to 8,000 people from the 5 sects entered the city, and the guards of the worry-free city were all subdued. That was why we were able to succeed so easily. A disciple from the demon-controlling sect said with a smile. Thank you for your hard work, senior brothers. Lu Gang said solemnly. We believe in junior brother. Everyone nodded. If that's the case, I would like to ask senior brothers to agree to a presumptuous request of mine. Lu Gang suddenly bowed and said solemnly. Junior brother, what are you doing? Why do you need a salute? All the senior brothers stepped forward. Junior brother, just say it. Lu Gang looked at the group of senior brothers and said solemnly, Senior brothers, it's not that I, Lu Gang, am a despicable person, but this matter is of great importance, and our lives are at stake. We have no choice but to be cautious. From now on, no one is allowed to leave this place, all right? And everyone's eyebrows rose. Does junior brother not trust us? A disciple from the demon-controlling sect asked solemnly. Lu Gang shook his head. If I didn't trust senior brother, I wouldn't have asked for senior brother's help. However, this matter concerns our lives. We have to be cautious. Senior brother, please forgive us. Chapter 596. As Lu Gang spoke, he bowed once more. Everyone looked at Lu Gang, and in the end, they all nodded with complicated expressions. Okay, since we promised junior brother, we'll listen to you. Many thanks, senior brother. As they waited, a large number of soldiers gathered outside the 4 gates of Carefree City. At the southern gate, 10,000 travel-worn soldiers carried a large number of demonic beasts on their shoulders. It was clear that they had obtained a bountiful harvest from this hunt. Open the gates, the leading general shouted. Dan Xingzi stood on the city gate with his hands behind his back, looking at the 10,000 soldiers clamoring outside. General Zhang, please wait outside the city for several days. Dan Xingzi called out. General Zhang looked at the city gate tower and narrowed his eyes. Wait, where's Old Ma? Why is it you a pretty boy? General Zhang's expression changed. Old Ma is resting for several days. I'll guard the city for him, Dan Xingzi said with a smile. General Zhang's expression changed. Get into formation and prepare for battle. General Zhang shouted. Boom! The soldiers were well trained. They quickly threw away the demonic beasts on their shoulders and aimed their bows at the city wall. Dan Xingzi, open the city gate. General Zhang roared. General Zhang, what are you doing? What's the harm in waiting for a few days? Dan Xingzi said with a frown. Bastard, I knew something was wrong when I didn't receive any news from my lord for several days, so I hurried back. Sure enough, something has happened in Carefree City. Fire! General Zhang roared. Boom! 10,000 sun shooting arrows shot toward the city gate tower. Dan Xingzi's expression changed as he retreated. Bang! 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 Layers of barriers appeared outside the city wall, blocking the arrow rain. Carefree City's formation? You actually activated Carefree City's formation? What happened to my lord? General Zhang roared. Dan Xingzi was embarrassed by his loss of composure. He flung his sleeve and said coldly, Once Carefree City's formation is activated, no one can enter or leave. If you want to wait a few more days, then wait a few more days. Huoguang isn't dead yet. Bastard demon controlling sect master. Bastard demon controlling sect master. General Zhang roared. Attack the city. General Zhang roared. Rumble. Rumbles came from all directions outside Carefree City. More and more troops rushed back from all directions. However, it was a pity that the Worry-Free City's formation was too sturdy and they couldn't break through it in a short period of time. 2 days later, in front of the Carefree City Lord Manor, in the small courtyard. Seniors, the army of 100,000 has been blocked outside. Please hurry up and deal with Huoguang. Dan Xingzi said worriedly. Dan Xingzi, you're doing well. Keep blocking. After a long time, they will rest. Sect leader Mo said with a smile. Dan Xingzi nodded. After seeing Dan Xingzi off, Mo frowned. Sect leader Mo, why are we waiting for news from the Day's sect? The Day's sect's plan is actually for Yin Chuan. If Yin Chuan doesn't die, Huoguang won't surrender. Therefore, we can only wait for the Day's sect to succeed in their plan, lure Yin Chuan back, and kill Yin Chuan. Only then can we proceed smoothly. Let's wait patiently, Mo said in a low voice. Lure? Once Feng Tianyu becomes the sect leader, he can use Tian Su, at the cost of damaging his own Tian Su, to use the pool of merit to send a message to Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan will definitely rush back to the Day's sect. There, he will be surrounded. Once Yin Chuan dies, Huoguang will be able to subdue him. Mo, he said in a low voice. Kill Yin Chuan? That's right. The Great Winged Heaven School gave us the mission to destroy the Day's sect, eliminate Yin Chuan, and subdue Huoguang's army of 100,000. Sect leader Mo said in a low voice. Then we still have to wait for a while? Yes, but don't worry. Huoguang is only in the Qi realm. Mo said in a low voice. Just as Mo was about to win, a large number of dark clouds suddenly appeared in the sky above Carefree City. Rumble. Black clouds appeared out of nowhere, and countless bolts of lightning suddenly flashed. Heavenly tribulation? 39 heavenly tribulations? Mo exclaimed in shock. On the floating island of the city lord's residence in Carefree City. He broke through. Huoguang finally broke through. Ha! Lu Jin shouted excitedly. Chapter 597. Carefree City. On the floating island where the city lord's mansion was located. Kaboom! The king of hell's palace rumbled as a powerful energy shot up into the sky. The eyes of the 50 Qi Jing warriors brightened as they heard the news. Kaboom! Dark clouds gathered in the sky as the heavenly tribulation clouds rolled toward them. 39 heavenly tribulations. Huoguang has reached the heavenly tribulation. Lu Jin shouted excitedly. The 50 Qi state overlords were also excited. Under the floating island, 20 immortal state warriors looked at the sky coldly. All of them had passed the 39 heavenly tribulations, so they knew what it meant. After passing the heavenly tribulation, one would reach the immortal state. It's Huoguang, an immortal state warrior said with a frown. No wonder we haven't seen Huoguang these days. He was in seclusion to break through. Another Immortal State warrior said with a frown. Sec Master Mo.E. What should we do now? The Immortal State warriors looked to M.O.E. M.O.E. narrowed his eyes and stared at the dark clouds in the sky. Don't worry, he is just an Immortal State warrior. Even if Hua Guang had passed the heavenly tribulation, he would only be a stage 1 Immortal State warrior. Besides, our elders are here. Hua Guang won't be able to do anything. M.O.E. shook his head and said. While the Immortal State warriors were talking, a man in a white robe flew into the sky with a silver spear in his hand. He stood in the air and looked at the heavenly tribulation clouds. It was Hua Guang. His long hair fluttered in the wind as he looked up at the sky with an unyielding face. Roar! Hua Guang roared at the sky, and dozens of lightning bolts struck down at Hua Guang. Boom! Hua Guang was immersed in the lightning. Hua Guang didn't use his dermic powers to block the lightning bolts. Instead, the lightning bolts surrounded Hua Guang and destroyed his clothes. At the same time, it tempered Hua Guang's body. Rumble! Hua Guang felt as if his entire body was soaked in a lightning battery. He crazily tempered his body. What? He's crazy. A deity realm expert exclaimed. He's using his physical body in the first wave of heavenly lightning. How is this possible? The group of Immortal State warriors looked at the sky in surprise. Generally speaking, cultivators would use magic treasures and weapons to resist the heavenly tribulation. Only when they reached the last bolt or two would they dare to draw it into their bodies to temper their bodies. This was because, although lightning tempering the body was precious, its destructive power was also incomparably shocking. The flesh body could not withstand too much lightning. But Hua Guang? Had he been resisting with his physical body from the very beginning? For some reason, the 20 gods suddenly felt uneasy. Far away in the city, in a valley, Lu Gang looked up at the tribulation clouds. Junior brother, this Hua Guang is really fierce. A demon-controlling sect disciple exclaimed in surprise. If he wasn't fierce, how could he have caught the eye of Yin Chuan and been appointed as the First Legion's commander? Lu Gang narrowed his eyes. The First Legion's commander? I know it by accident. If there's a first, there'll be a second, third, fourth. Yin Chuan is ambitious. Only by following such a person can I show my brilliance. Lu Gang's eyes flashed with a hint of eagerness. What? The demon-controlling sect disciple was puzzled. Lu Gang shook his head and said, Senior brothers, maybe it's up to us now. You must do as I say. Junior brother, what's your plan? The senior brothers were puzzled. Lu Gang looked at the crowd and took a deep breath. Everyone, we've already offended these 50 people. Even if we turn back now, it's too late. Why don't we give up on resisting the 5 major sects and wait for the 5 major sects to slaughter us? Or follow me and do something big. Chapter 598. The senior brothers' faces darkened, but they eventually nodded and said, We'll listen to you. Lu Gang looked at the crowd again and said, Perhaps my decision will go against Master's wishes. Are you still willing to help me? Go against King Ye's wishes? Everyone's faces darkened. Clearly, they didn't expect this to happen. We'll listen to you. Everyone said at the same time. All right, Lu Gang nodded. He turned around and looked at Hua Guang, who was in the middle of his tribulation. Outside the city, the 100,000 soldiers suddenly stopped attacking the city. Some of the Qi Jing experts slowly floated up and looked at the tribulation clouds in the sky. They immediately saw Hua Guang floating in the sky. It's our Lord's tribulation. The Qi Jing expert immediately shouted, My lord! The 100,000 soldiers were delighted. Attack the city. Continue attacking the city. Protect our lord. Suddenly, a loud shout came from outside the city. Yes, rumble. Powerful rumbling sounds continuously battered the city gates. Dan Qingzi, who had rushed back from the city, had an ugly expression on his face. Outside the Imperial Monster Palace, King Yi frowned and looked at the city lord's floating island. Looking at the tribulation in the distance, King Yi frowned deeply and felt a sense of unease. The lightning madly tempered Hua Guang's body. Roar! Huoguang's body seemed to be in great pain, but Huoguang still remembered Yin Chuan's words. Although the tribulation was a disaster, it was also a blessing. After enduring the pain, there would be great rewards. Rumble. Round after round of lightning entered Huoguang's body. In the blink of an eye, more than 20 rounds of lightning had passed. The immortal state experts' faces darkened. Sect leader Mo, something's wrong. Huoguang is enduring so many lightning strikes. Once he becomes an immortal state expert, he will be extraordinary. An immortal state expert said worriedly. Yeah, I'm worried that we won't be able to stop him. Another person said worriedly. Sect leader Mo, shall I go and take a look? A red-haired immortal state expert narrowed his eyes and said, Mo, nodded. At this moment, Mo, also felt a sense of unease. Who? An immortal realm expert soared into the sky, but as soon as he landed on the floating island, release the arrows. Lu Jin's voice suddenly rang out. Boom! 50 Qi Jing generals simultaneously released their arrows. Bam! 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 The power of the shooting sun arrows suddenly erupted. It was as if 50 shooting stars had suddenly rushed over. Rumble. The immortal realm expert's expression changed as he quickly blocked the shooting sun arrows. Release the arrows. Lu Jin continued to shout. Bang, 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 bang. The shooting sun arrows quickly suppressed the God Realm warrior, preventing him from going up to the sky to disturb Huoguang. The faces of the immortal state warriors below changed. Let's go. Mo, shouted. Boom! A group of divine realm warriors soared into the sky together. At this moment, Huoguang seemed to have sensed the threat coming from below. He took a step forward and soared into the sky. What are you doing? Is Huoguang crazy? Someone shouted again. He wants to charge into the tribulation clouds. Is he crazy? A group of immortal state warriors exclaimed. Stop him. Mo, shouted. Mo felt more and more uneasy. He didn't know what was going on, but at this moment he instinctively wanted to stop Huoguang. However, Huoguang rushed into the tribulation clouds in the blink of an eye. Rumble. The tribulation clouds of the 39 heavenly tribulations rolled. 20 immortal state warriors soared into the sky with pale faces, but they didn't dare to step into the clouds. Huoguang's painful cry came from inside the tribulation clouds. Chapter 599. Howl, Army Destroyer. Following an explosive roar from within the tribulation cloud, an enormous aura suddenly rushed out. In the distant sky, a beam of light suddenly shot down. It was only daytime, but the stars were still in their original positions, covered by the sun. The star will of the Army Destroyer star suddenly poured into the tribulation cloud. Boom! The tribulation cloud of the 39 heavenly tribulations suddenly twisted violently. With a loud bang, the 39 heavenly tribulations suddenly exploded. Hong! The huge 39 heavenly tribulations exploded, but at the center of the explosion, a terrifying aura pressed down. The 20 divine realm warriors' faces changed. How could it be? Someone exclaimed. After the explosion, the phantom of a peerless general seemed to condense in the void. The peerless general held a long spear in his hand. His eyes were wide open, and a terrifying will made everyone's heart tremble. The Army Destroyer will. In the phantom of the peerless general, Huoguang was holding a long spear and surrounded by the Army Destroyer will. In an instant, Huoguang's battle intent soared to the sky. A fierce aura suddenly burst out and suppressed the group of divine realm warriors. Impossible. He has just finished the 39 heavenly tribulations and is at LV, one of the divine realm. How could his aura be so strong? A divine realm warrior exclaimed. Huoguang's clothes were torn by the explosion. Huoguang grabbed the spear with one hand and tore it in front of his chest with the other hand. Whoosh! The torn clothes were torn away, and the bare-chested Qin Haodong held the spear and looked at the crowd. You're courting death. Huoguang waved his long spear, and a powerful spear force rushed to the 20 divine realm warriors. One of the Divine Realm warriors raised his sword and blocked it. Boom! The sword in the Divine Realm warrior's hand suddenly exploded, and the Divine Realm warrior spat out a mouthful of blood. Puff! With the army destroyer will, Huoguang's strength at the moment was more than LV1 of the Divine Realm warrior. Let's go together and take down Huoguang. He exclaimed. How dare you trap me? Huoguang stared at him, and the long spear suddenly burst out billions of silver light. Rumble! 1 against 20, Huoguang's might was boundless. Boom! 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 As the spears collided again and again, the 20 Divine Realm warriors all spat out blood. 1 against 20, Huoguang suppressed all of them. The star intent was extremely domineering. As the long spear danced, a terrifying destructive force rushed towards the immortal state warriors. Poof! 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 The sound of vomiting blood could be heard continuously. Huoguang was simply too ferocious. They were all in the Divine Realm, but at this moment Huoguang was simply suppressing them one-sidedly. Impossible! Impossible! Let's work together to stop Huoguang. The battle in the air continued without pause. Around Worry-Free City, countless cultivators looked up at the sky. The acting city lord, Huoguang, showed his domineering side for the first time. Countless people looked up at the sky in shock. The 8,000 experts of the 5 sects rushed over. In an instant, there were countless experts around the floating island. Lu Jin and the others were extremely excited. While Huoguang suppressed the crowd, a large hall opened at the bottom of the floating island. The disciples of the 5 sects immediately saw a man in a Taoist robe walk out of the hall. Elder, everyone called out respectfully. An old man in a Tai Chi Taoist robe stepped out and looked coldly at the sky. Bam! Bam! Under Huoguang's long spear, the 20 Divine Realm warriors were injured. 2 of them even had their heads explode and died on the spot. Bastard! The old man in the Tai Chi Taoist robe glared, and a powerful aura shot up to the sky. The aura of a lower void realm warrior forced Huoguang's long spear to stop. Whoosh! The remaining 18 Divine Realm warriors looked at Huoguang in fear and quickly dodged. Huoguang was too terrifying. Shrouded in the will of the stars, Huoguang was too ferocious. Everyone felt that they were not facing a human, but a peerless demon. Huoguang looked down and stared at the old man in the Tai Chi Taoist robe. Huoguang glared and said, Lower Void Realm Warrior, ignorant kid, why don't you surrender? The old man in the Tai Chi Taoist robe said coldly, So what if you were in the Lower Void Realm? I, Huoguang, will still kill you. Huoguang glared. Chapter 600. Ignorant brat, why aren't you surrendering? The old man in the Taiji Taoist robe said coldly. So what if you were at the lower void stage? I, Huoguang, will kill you all the same. Huoguang glared. Huoguang dared to say such words because Huoguang had the ability to do so. Firstly, he had the will of the stars and the army destroyer. The star will that was born for battle. Secondly, Huoguang originally had the potential to be a fierce general. Throughout his cultivation journey, he had been growing in the midst of slaughter. The ferocity of his battles was overwhelming. Furthermore, according to Yin Chuan's method, Huoguang's body was tempered by heavenly lightning. His body was not weaker than a lower emptiness realm expert. Most importantly, Huoguang's cultivation technique, the Spear Heart Secret Art, was a heaven-grade cultivation technique. In terms of cultivation technique, it was definitely much stronger than an ordinary lower emptiness realm expert. Ignorant brat, you're courting death. The old man in the Taiji Taoist robes glared at Meng Hao, then took a step forward and shot into the sky. Swish! A sword rainbow instantly slashed towards Huoguang. Huoguang's eyes widened as he stretched out his spear towards the sword rainbow. Boom! Under the impact, Huoguang was pushed back 100 zhong before he stabilized himself. The lower emptiness realm naturally had its own uniqueness. Even though Huoguang had many outstanding points, he was no longer as unbridled as before. You've just transcended the 3 and 9 heavenly tribulation, yet you're able to withstand my sword? The old man's face darkened. Oomph. Lower void stage? Since that's the case, then you can be my whetstone. Hua Guang glared at him and rushed forward. Boom! The astral spear shot straight at the old man in the Taiji Taoist robe, and the two of them started fighting in the void. Who? 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 Fierce winds blew as the two peerless powerhouses fought each other. Mo, E, and the others' faces sank. Hua Guang? What a terrifying Hua Guang! A deity realm expert exclaimed in shock. 1 against 20? He alone can kill 20 of my men. He can still be so calm when facing an emptiness realm expert. The faces of the immortal state warriors turned extremely ugly. Trying to escape? Where do you think you're going? The old man in the Taiji Taoist robe suddenly shouted, because at this moment, Hua Guang was fighting and retreating towards the east. Ha ha ha! To deal with you, do you think I'm going to run? Hua Guang shouted. Although he shouted, Hua Guang still moved towards the east. That's not right. Sect leader Mo Yi's expression changed. What is it? Hua Guang isn't running away. He's heading to the east gate. He wants to break open the east gate and let the 100,000 soldiers in. Mo Yi immediately saw through Hua Guang's intentions. What should he do? Although Elder can suppress Hua Guang, he can't stop Hua Guang from heading east. A deity realm expert frowned. Come on, let's go to Elder Qi and stop Hua Guang from leaving. Mo Yi shouted. All right. The 18 immortal state warriors rushed up to the sky and surrounded Yi Chun. Rumble. Hua Guang was fighting against a lower void state warrior and 18 immortal state warriors alone. The pressure on him multiplied and he was trapped on the spot. Roar. Hua Guang fought like a madman. Looking at the sky, all the cultivators were amazed by Hua Guang's strength. He had just reached the first level of the immortal state, but he could fight against a lower void state warrior and 18 immortal state warriors? That was unbelievable. Countless people revealed a look of shock. King Ye's face darkened. He felt that he might have made the wrong decision. At the southern city gate, Dan Xingzi's face twitched. Dan Xingzi had witnessed Hua Guang's growth. Hua Guang, who used to be something that he could easily crush, was now showing such a ferocious side. Wasn't this too exaggerated? On the floating island, Lu Jin watched Hua Guang lead the people away. She took a deep breath and said, Generals, let's go. Hua Guang has stalled all the immortal state warriors and lower void state warriors. Go to the 4 city gates and break open the city gates. Let the 100,000 soldiers in. Chapter 601. Yes, the 50 Qi Jing cultivators shouted in unison. Whoosh! The 50 Qi Jing cultivators quickly fled in all directions. Where do you think you're going? The 5 sects had sent 8,000 cultivators into the city, and there were hundreds of Qi Jing cultivators. How could they allow the 50 Qi Jing cultivators to destroy the city? Rumble! The 50 Qi Jing cultivators were stopped in their tracks. They were outnumbered several times over, and it was impossible for them to escape. Lu Jin stood on the floating island with a gloomy face. In an instant, battles broke out in the city, and the 100,000 soldiers outside the city were anxious. Ha 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 ha, it's useless. Hua Guang, surrender. Mo Yi looked around and laughed. Asking Hua Guang to surrender? Yin Chuan was probably the only person in the world who could do that. Others? Dream on. Hua Guang roared as he continued to attack with his spear. It's useless. No one can save you. The 100,000 soldiers won't be able to help you at the city gates. Mo Yi laughed. Mo Yi, you old fool. Suddenly, a loud shout came from the carefree city. Many cultivators turned around to look at the source of the shout. It was the peak of a tall mountain. The peak of the mountain was not far from the Imperial Demon Palace. King Yimu turned to look at the source of the voice, and his expression changed drastically. On the peak, Lu Gang stood at the front with 50 Tide cultivators kneeling behind him. Behind each of the Tide cultivators stood a disciple of the Imperial Demon Sect. Father, save me. One of the kneeling cultivators screamed in fear. Oh, my son, you bastard. Mo Yi screamed. Father, save me. Grandfather, save me. Third uncle, save me. Great-grandfather, save me. 50 tied-up Xiozha cried for help in terror. Bastard! How dare you? You're courting death. The 18 Immortal Realm cultivators were furious. For a moment, the 18 Immortal Realm cultivators panicked. Some of them even wanted to charge over. Lu Gang grabbed Mo Yi's son and placed his saber on his neck. Don't come over. The Imperial Demon sect disciples placed their sabers on the necks of the kneeling cultivators. Who? The faces of the 18 Divinity State warriors darkened. Their loved ones were restrained, and for a moment they were very anxious. Unfilial disciple, let go of me, King Yimu yelled. King Yimai didn't expect his disciple to be so bold as to capture the family members of the Immortal State experts from the 5 major sections. This was pushing the demon-controlling sect to their doom. Lu Gang glanced at King Wild. Master, it's not that I don't want to release them, it's just that it's too late. Master, please order my sect's disciples to open the city gates. Lu Gang shouted. Bastard, are you threatening your master? King Wild Moo's face darkened. Open the city gates? Moe and the other Immortal State warriors in the sky were shocked. King Mai, don't open the gate. No one is allowed to open it. Moe roared. Father, save me. Faced with Lu Gang's cold hand, Moe's son immediately cried out in pain. Moe looked at his son and his face darkened. However, Moe knew that once the city gates opened, all their efforts would be for naught. Even if you capture my son, you can't threaten me. Moe shouted coldly. That's right, kid. You're courting death. You want to use our loved ones to threaten us? Dream on. The Immortal Realm cultivators shouted. Lu Gang looked at the Immortal Realm cultivators and sneered. Threaten you? I'm not going to threaten you. Then, Lu Gang looked at King Walmu and said, Master, it's up to you whether to open the city gates or not. Chapter 602. After saying that, a sinister glint flashed in Lu Gang's eyes, and he pulled his hand. Boom! Moe's son's head was separated from his neck. Lu Gang instantly beheaded him. King Ye's heart skipped a beat. Roar! Bastard! How dare you kill my son? Moe roared like a madman. Moe didn't open the city gates because he was sure that Lu Gang wouldn't dare hurt his son. Who would have thought that Lu Gang would kill his son on the spot? Kill them! Lu Gang shouted. Yes! Bam! 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 Behind Lu Gang, the 50 Divine Realm relatives who were tied up were all beheaded and killed on the spot. No! Bastard! Brat! You're courting death. The Immortal State warriors roared as they watched their sons, nephews, and grandsons being killed one after another. The Immortal State warriors roared in anger. Lu Gang had been watching King Wild the whole time. He had killed 50 Immortal State warriors of his family. Master, for the sake of the demon-controlling sect, it's up to you, Lu Gang said in a deep voice. King Wild Moo's eyelids twitched violently. He finally understood what was going on. Killing their relatives in front of the 5 major sects was not a threat to the 5 major sects, but a threat to himself. The demon-controlling sect had killed their loved ones. After this battle, it would be impossible for the demon-controlling sect to escape unscathed, let alone share the benefits. Wretched disciple, wretched spawn. King Yimu's expression was extremely ugly. This was Lu Gang using his own viciousness to force the demon control sect onto Yan Chuan's ship. Master, hurry! Lu Gang shouted as he led his senior brothers towards King Wildmon. King Yimu's expression was extremely ugly, but he still roared, Listen up, demon-controlling sect disciples. Withdraw the formation and open the city gates. In the distance, on the southern gate tower, Dan Xingzi was completely dumbfounded. He watched as Lu Gang killed the relatives of the 5 great sects in the distance. Compared to his ruthless methods, his methods of currying favor with Lu Gang were far inferior. Without needing Dan Xingzi to say anything, the disciples of the monster-controlling sect all opened their gates. Quang! Kill! Kill! The city gates opened, and the 100,000 soldiers outside the city roared as they swarmed in. Bastard, close the door, close the door! Moe screamed. He roared furiously at King Yi. Lu Gang and the others quickly hid behind King Wild. King Yimai's expression was extremely ugly. His traitorous disciple had forced him to side with Yin Chuan. He yelled at him not to open the city gates, but it was still the same. King Wild had no choice but to swallow this bitter pill. He turned his head and looked coldly at the other side. He had no choice but to join forces with Huoguang. Junior brothers, protect Lu Gang, King Wild said bitterly. At this moment, if Lu Gang was killed, the demon-controlling sect would really be in a dilemma. The other two immortal state warriors from the monster-controlling sect looked at King Yimu bitterly. They took out their weapons and prepared to fend off the immortal state warriors. Rumble. The demon-controlling sect joined the battle. Ha ha! On the floating island, Lu Jin laughed loudly. 100,000 soldiers had entered the city. The 50 Chi state warriors who were besieged suddenly became excited because the reinforcements had arrived. After sending a few immortal state warriors to kill Lu Gang, Huoguang seemed to be able to catch his breath. Ha 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 ha! Huoguang laughed excitedly. First Legion, kill all the cultivators from the 5 major sections. Kill, kill, kill. Huoguang roared from the sky. Yes, the 100,000 soldiers who had rushed into the city roared in unison. Their voices shook the entire carefree city. Monstrous, murderous intent gathered on the floating island. 100,000 soldiers besieged 8,000 cultivators. Ah, bastard! He roared. The situation suddenly became chaotic. The situation that was originally under control changed in the blink of an eye. It was completely out of control. He was furious. Chapter 603. Xiao. The 4, 5, 6, and 7 swordsmen landed beside Yin Chuan. Martial uncle, big brother. The 4 swordsmen greeted. When the 4 arrived, the eyes of the 800 Qi Jing practitioners lit up. Did someone come to find Yin Chuan? This was different from before. It's good that you're here, Yin Chuan said calmly. Have you found the place? Don't tell me you don't remember the way back. The 3 swordsmen laughed. Of course we know. Just follow us. The 4 swordsmen laughed. As soon as the 4 swordsmen finished speaking, all the sounds of birds, beasts, insects, and fish disappeared. The 800 Qi Jing practitioners who were whispering to each other also became quiet. Everyone's spirits were suddenly shaken. The place? Where? The white-clothed lady with the blue phoenix pulling the carriage? Yin Chuan asked the 4 of them to find the place. We guessed right. If we follow Yin Chuan, we will definitely find the Tian-level skill. We didn't wait in vain. The surrounding practitioners started to discuss again. At the same time, their eyes were filled with hope. The sudden change in the environment surprised the 4 swordsmen. What? Did I say something wrong? The 4 swordsmen asked. You didn't say anything wrong. Yin Chuan laughed. Pung! Above the lake, a pillar of water shot out. A 10-meter-long azure crocodile soared into the sky. However, a spear pierced through its abdomen. The one who came out of the water after that was the slightly injured Huoguang. Pung! The crocodile was thrown onto the shore. Huoguang was the first to jump onto the shore. Pung! 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 A large number of crocodiles jumped out of the water. A group of Genie army soldiers rushed out with their trophies. In the blink of an eye, there were 500 crocodile corpses on the shore. King, the mission is complete, Huoguang said excitedly. Set up camp and eat. Yin Chuan nodded. Yes. The 3,000 embroidered uniform army soldiers quickly got busy. At this moment, the faces of the surrounding 800 cultivators stiffened. Stop to eat and rest again? Don't you know where the woman in white is? Go quickly. What would happen if she left? Although the Xiuzhou were anxious, there was nothing they could do. After all, Yin Chuan still needed to personally ask for the heaven-grade cultivation method. He could only wait. After setting up camp and cooking delicious food, Yin Chuan started to eat in the headquarters tent. Accompanying them were Huoguang, Lu Jin, Zhu Jiansheng, and the 7 swordsmen. Uncle, there are already more than 800 Qi Jing warriors. Aren't you worried at all? Six swordsmen asked curiously. What are you worried about? Yin Chuan smiled. You're worried that they'll harm you. Six swordsmen was confused. Will it? Why not? The six swordsmen were puzzled. Because they are not a single entity, I am safer. Yin Chuan laughed. Mutual restraint? The three swordsmen asked curiously. Yes. Moreover, if there is any danger, these 800 Qi Jing warriors will help. Huo Guang also laughed. Xiao. Just as everyone was talking, a stone suddenly shot into the tent. Dong! The stone hit Yin Chuan's table. Xing! Xing! The group of swordsmen pulled out their swords and looked at the stone in surprise. Yin Chuan looked at the stone and sneered. Someone is trying to assassinate me. Who? Huo Guang immediately stood up. Chapter 604. Yin Chuan nodded. Huo Guang acted as if nothing had happened and walked out of the tent with the wine. Outside the tent, there were many soldiers eating crocodiles. Brothers, the king asked me to give you a toast. Now that we are outside, there is no wine, so we will use meat as a substitute. Huo Guang laughed. Sir, everyone stood up. Huo Guang held the wine cup in one hand and made a strange gesture with the other. The gesture was normal, but all the soldiers' pupils shrank. Long live the king! All the soldiers raised the meat and congratulated. While eating the meat, the soldiers chatted and divided into different groups. Inside the tent. Assassination? Martial uncle, how did you know? Zhu Jiansheng was surprised. This is a reminder from one of the 800 practitioners. Yin Chuan smiled as he looked at the pebbles on the table. Who? Zhu Jiansheng was curious. Who? How would I know? They helped me find out. We just need to be more careful. Yin Chuan laughed. Assassination? What should we do? The three swordsmen were worried. What are you worried about? Huo Guang is already there. Don't worry about them. Let's continue eating. Yin Chuan laughed. Everyone was confused. Martial uncle is too carefree. Even if someone tries to assassinate him, he won't care. While everyone was eating, Huo Guang raised his cup and walked around the 3,000 soldiers. Some of the soldiers disappeared without them noticing. On a hill not far from the main tent, 20 Qi Jing assassins sent by Wei Chan were all staring at the main tent. Boss, I saw it. Yin Chuan is in the tent. One of them said coldly. There are 800 Qi Jing cultivators outside. There are 8 Day Sex Qi Jing cultivators in the tent. The others are not a problem. The leader said, 8 Day Sex Qi Jing cultivators are not a problem. The main thing is that there are 800 Qi Jing cultivators outside. They are all waiting for Yin Chuan to lead the way. If we assassinate him, won't they be angry? Angry? Whatever, we must complete the mission given by the alliance leader. We must rush into the tent. You 8 block the 8 Day Sex Qi Jing cultivators. The 12 of us will attack at the same time and kill Yin Chuan. Once Yin Chuan is dead, we will retreat. It will be too late to save the 800 cultivators. The leader said, Boss is wise. We will escape after killing Yin Chuan. No one can stop us. Well, since it's confirmed, let's begin immediately. I'll count to 3, and we'll move out together. Yes. Whoosh! 20 black figures instantly shot towards the central tent like 20 sharp arrows. They were so fast that the countless cultivators in the surroundings could not react in time. The 20 assassins arrived in front of the tent and were about to enter. Bang! Suddenly, 500 rays of light shot towards the tent. 500 shooting sun arrows shot towards the 20 assassins. The 20 assassins' faces changed. Bang! The assassins spat out their chi walls one after another, and a powerful aura spread out. Bang! 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 The shooting sun arrows were blocked by the air wall, but the power of the 500 shooting sun arrows was enormous. When they hit the air wall, the speed of the assassins suddenly stopped. Some of the assassins were even knocked back by the force of the shooting sun arrows. Not good. The assassin leader's face changed. Shoot! Bang! Chapter 605. With a clear target, the second volley of 2,000 shooting sun arrows exploded out. 2,000 streams of light, like a meteor shower, fiercely crashed into the air wall of the 20 assassins. Rumble. It was equivalent to a Qi Jing realm cultivator facing 100 shooting sun arrows. Although the power of a Qi Jing realm cultivator was not as strong as a Qi Jing realm cultivator, there were many of them. With the combined power of 100 shooting sun arrows, the power of the shooting sun arrows was comparable to a Qi Jing realm cultivator. The air wall around the 20 assassins shook violently, almost collapsing completely. "We've been discovered. Not good." Someone cried out. "Let's go." "You want to leave?" "Shoot." Hua Guang shouted again. Pum. This time, there were even more arrows. 3,000 arrows burst out almost at the same time. There were even more arrows than before, and they were even more ferocious. 3,000 rays of golden light shot out, bringing with them endless despair. They closed in on the 20 assassins. Originally, they looked down on the Essence Realm, but now, boom. The air wall exploded from the impact, and the remaining force of the rain of arrows unscrupulously struck the crowd of cultivators. Bang! Bang! The air wall exploded, and all the Xiuzhou were heavily injured. Their long swords struck the rain of arrows, but there were too many arrows. How could he block all 3,000 arrows at once? The assassins were hit by the arrows and fell to the ground. Of the 20 assassins, 5 were dead, and the remaining 15 were covered in arrows. They were all a loss as they looked at the group of elite realm cultivators in disbelief. "Impossible, impossible," the leader said in disbelief. The 20 of them were assassins, yet they were all wiped out in the blink of an eye. "I'm in the Qi realm, but they're in the Qi realm. Those guys are only in the Essence realm." At this time, no one would sympathize with them. The 800 Qi Jing cultivators who had regained their senses were also glaring at the assassins. It was already merciful that they didn't teach them a lesson. Why would they pity them? At the same time, the 800 Qi realm cultivators were also looking at Hua Guang and the others in surprise. These days, the genie army had only killed 2 or 3 Qi realm beasts, so the cultivators didn't think much of it. At this moment, he finally realized the true power of the Imperial Secret Army. 20 Qi State warriors? Take him down in an instant? Pierce his shoulder blades and tie him up? Hua Guang shouted. "Yes," the soldiers replied. In the blink of an eye, 15 Qi Jing cultivators were tied up and brought to the main tent. In the central tent, Yan Chuan was still drinking and eating. Zhu Jiansheng and the 7 swordsmen looked at the group of Qi Jing warriors kneeling on the ground in confusion. "Boss, try slapping me." The 3 swordsmen felt like he was dreaming. "Slap." The great swordsman slapped the 3rd swordsman's face. "Ouch, you really hit me." The 3 swordsmen's face immediately swelled up. Looking at his palm, the great swordsman said in a deep voice, "It hurts quite a bit. Looks like it's not a dream." "Boss, I'll fight you to the death," the 3 swordsmen said with grief and indignation. Zhu Jiansheng looked at Hua Guang in surprise. "They are from the Life League. They are all in the Qi state. Are these Qi Jing warriors still the same group of mortals that he met a year ago?" With 5 dead, the 15 Qi Jing warriors kneeled in front of Yin Chuan like prisoners. "Yin Chuan, you better let me go now. Otherwise, the Life League will kill you like how we killed your father." One of the Qi Jing assassins said viciously. "What did you say?" Yin Chuan put down a piece of meat and said coldly. "I said like how we killed your father." The assassin said again. "Sure." A long spear came from behind and pierced through his heart. It was Hua Guang who killed him with a single spear strike. The 14 assassins who wanted to scare Yin Chuan suddenly changed their expressions. "These people are crazy." Chapter 606. Qinglong arrives. Kill. 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 The 100,000-strong army soon clashed with the disciples of the 5 sections. The 8,000 disciples of the 5 sects were at the Qi state level several times higher than the army. However, the advantage of the army lay not only in their power, but also in their overall strength. Once the shooting sun arrows were fired, even the strongest chi state cultivators would have no chance against them. The army was well trained and their attacks were deadly. Help! Master, help me! The battle was a mess. The 8,000 disciples screamed in agony. The army had grown through fighting. Their spear techniques were invincible. The 8,000 disciples were killed one after another. 5 immortal state cultivators attacked Lu Gang out of hatred. Lu Gang hid in the array outside the Imperial Demon Sect, while King Yi and 2 other immortal state cultivators held on. In the distance, the disciples of the 5 sects suffered heavy casualties. The immortal state cultivators seemed to have lost their minds. Bastard! Bastard! The immortal state cultivators roared. 5 immortal state cultivators charged toward the army. Fire! Lu Jin said coldly. Bang! 10,000 arrows were fired at the 5 immortal state cultivators. Nearly 100 chi state cultivators charged toward them. Most of the 100,000-strong army were immortal state cultivators, but there were too many of them. They were more than enough to kill the chi state cultivators of the 5 sections. For a time, a great battle began. Ha 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 ha! Although Huoguang was struggling bitterly, the situation was in his favor, and everything was in his favor. Drag it out, so be it. Mo Yi's eyelids twitched. All immortal state warriors besiege Huoguang. Capture Huoguang and defeat the 100,000-strong army. Mo Yi shouted. Mo Yi's decision was correct. As long as Huoguang was captured, the 100,000-strong army would surrender. Whoosh! The 10 immortal state cultivators quickly flew back to Huoguang's battlefield. King Yi heaved a sigh of relief after the immortal state cultivators left. Master, quick! Help Huoguang. Inform all the disciples of the demon-controlling sect to assist the 100,000-strong army. Lu Gang cried out anxiously. If Huoguang were to die or be captured, then all his previous plans would be for naught. King Yi frowned as he looked at Lu Gang, his eyes filled with anger. If not for Lu Gang, how could the demon-controlling sect be so passive? Master, this disciple will accept any punishment. Please consider the survival of the Imperial Demon Sect as the most important thing. After this battle, this disciple will offer a humble apology. Lu Gang said solemnly. King Wild Mu's face darkened. Junior brothers, let's go. King Wild soared into the sky. The other 2 immortal state warriors also followed King Wild and charged toward the battlefield where Huoguang was. Disciples of the demon-controlling sect, heed my command. Assist the army of 100,000 and exterminate the disciples of the 5 sects as soon as possible. King Yimu roared. Yes. The disciples of the demon-controlling sect answered. King Mai, you're courting death. Mo Yi scolded. Mo Yi was not the only one. Almost all the immortal state warriors on Huoguang's battlefield were glaring at King Mai. Ha ha! Huoguang laughed out loud. Bam! An energy blade slashed at Huoguang's back. Suddenly, a wall of air appeared behind him to block the attack. Even so, the impact still left Huoguang in a sorry state. Kill! King Mai had no choice but to go all out this time. He quickly harassed the immortal state warriors. However, his opponents were too strong. 1 lower void stage cultivator and 18 immortal state warriors were too strong. Huoguang was constantly being suppressed. The old man in the Taiji Taoist robe even left a long scar on his chest. Huoguang's spear danced more and more fiercely. Every time he attacked, it seemed like both sides would suffer. Chapter 607. Little brat, are you really that strong? The lower ethereal state old man was also shocked. How could Huoguang still be able to struggle in such a situation? The old man was shocked by Yi Futian's strength. Was he really a Tier 1 immortal state warrior? The battle lasted for an entire afternoon. King Yimu was covered in wounds, and the 2 immortal state warriors were covered in blood. Huoguang was the same. There were hundreds of wounds on his chest and back. However, Huoguang was like a ferocious tiger that refused to admit defeat. Even if his defeat was certain, he was unwilling to admit defeat. Roar! Die! Huoguang waved his spear crazily. The Immortal State warriors were about to win, but none of them could laugh. Less than 1,000 of the 8,000 disciples were left. The army of 100,000 had also lost their minds. Lord, you're buying time for us. Kill! For Lord, kill! Lord! The army of 100,000 was furious. They vented their anger on the disciples of the 5 major sects when they saw the battle in the sky. Qi State warriors could fly, but they couldn't fight in the air. Even the airflow created by Huoguang's battle kept the Qi State warriors away. They didn't dare to shoot arrows for fear of hurting Huoguang. Kill them all. Don't leave a single one of them alive. Kill them all. The soldiers' eyes were red as they vented their impatience. Senior brother, I can't hold on any longer. An Immortal State warrior from the Imperial Demon sect said in pain. You have to do it even if you can't. Continue to cause trouble. King Yimu said anxiously. Yes. The intense battle continued, and the blood on Huoguang's body kept increasing. The 8,000 disciples of the 5 major sects were all killed. They looked at the sky anxiously. Almost everyone was looking at the battlefield in the sky. At that moment, no one noticed a green light shooting toward the carefree city. Whoosh! The speed of the green light was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived at the worry-free city. Furthermore, it used its fastest speed to reach the floating island of the worry-free city. Who's there? Protect Eunuch Liu. The soldiers instantly became nervous. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew, and 2 figures appeared in front of Lu Jin. Qinglong and Yifeng. Stop! Lu Jin shouted. Her face lit up with joy. Mr. E, is our king back? Lu Jin exclaimed in surprise. Yifeng nodded. Seeing Yifeng nod his head, Lu Jin immediately revealed a look of wild elation. Great! My king is back. Our king is back. This is? Yifeng turned his head to look at the sky. Senior Azure Dragon, please help Huoguang quickly. Lu Jin immediately called out. Azure Dragon nodded and said, Protect Yifeng. As he spoke, Azure Dragon soared into the sky. Lu Jin looked around. All Qi Jing generals listen up. Protect Mr. Yifeng with your life. Lu Jin shouted. Yes. The Qi Jing generals obeyed. Whoosh! Around Yifeng, close to 100 soldiers suddenly surrounded him. They drew their bows to prevent any accidents from happening. In the sky, Huoguang was suppressed by a group of experts. His face was red, and his eyes were filled with unwillingness. Ha 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 ha! Huoguang, you are at the end of the road. Surrender. Moe said hatefully. 8,000 disciples, all dead. Moe's heart was bleeding. At this moment, Moe had made up his mind. Even if the Great Winged Heaven School wanted to punish him, he would bury the 100,000 soldiers and Huoguang with him. Surrender without a fight? Bah, you think you're worthy? Huoguang said hatefully as he withstood the tremendous strength of the group of experts. Chapter 608. Humph. Then he shall die. Elder, kill him. Avenge the disciples of the 5 sects. Moe shouted. The inferior void stage, Elder nodded. Okay. Boom. Suddenly, a beam of azure light shot up into the sky. Suddenly, a loud bang was heard as a powerful force dispersed the group of overlords. Huoguang was freed. Huh. Almost everyone's expression changed. A man in an azure robe suddenly appeared beside Huoguang. King Wild was covered in blood, but he still flew to Huoguang's side with 2 Immortal State warriors. King Wild's eyes lit up when he saw the man in the azure robe. King Wild knew this man. He had met him once in the Feng Shui formation. It's him? Suddenly, a glimmer of hope flashed across King Wild's heart. Huoguang, we are late, Qinglong said with a wry smile. Ha ha ha, you're not late. Just in time. Huoguang laughed. Who are you? The inferior void stage, Elder asked. Qinglong ignored the Elder and said to Huoguang, I will stop this inferior void stage, cultivator. You take care of these Immortal State warriors. Qinglong sighed when he said this. He was able to cultivate so fast because he followed the Saintus and received merit from the Dezhou sacred ground. However, when he looked at Huoguang, Qinglong realized that the speed he was so proud of was a disgrace. He still remembered that Huoguang was only immortal back then. How could he be so powerful now? According to the situation just now, Azure Dragon was sure that Huoguang could block a group of Divine Realm warriors. No, Qinglong, help me take care of these immortal state warriors. I will deal with this inferior void stage cultivator, Huoguang said with a glare. What? Qinglong was surprised. The injuries on my body were all caused by him. I wanted to pay me back 100-fold, Huoguang said with a fierce look in his eyes. Qinglong stared blankly at Huoguang and finally nodded. Old man, give me your life. Huoguang brandished his long spear, and suddenly a huge spear aura rushed out. Just as Moe and the others were about to help, a huge force suddenly struck them. It was Qinglong's palm. A dragon-shaped green light wave shot straight at Moe. Moe thought that Qinglong was just an immortal state warrior, so he thrust his sword at him. Boom! Moe's long sword suddenly exploded, and the green light wave rushed towards Moe's chest. Boom! An explosion resounded through the sky. Pooh! Moe spat out a mouthful of blood. He was sent flying. Qinglong's attack immediately suppressed the group of deity realm experts. Abyssal Realm? Are you at the Abyssal Realm? An immortal state warrior shouted in horror. Huoguang had already embarrassed them, and now there was another Abyssal Realm warrior? Boom! Boom! Qinglong quickly attacked with all his strength. The group of immortal state warriors couldn't resist. Suddenly, blood spurted out of their mouths, and they were sent flying. Some of them even fell from the sky. Shoot! Below, the army was waiting to attack. Even an immortal state warrior couldn't withstand 10,000 arrows at the same time, not to mention that he was seriously injured. The 3 immortal state warriors of the Imperial Monster Sect were all overjoyed. We are saved, Sect Master, we are saved. An immortal state warrior was covered in blood and said excitedly. Below, at the Imperial Monster Sect, Liu Gang's face was full of joy, and the group of senior brothers behind him were also ecstatic. Junior brother, we made the right bet. The senior brothers were excited. Liu Gang nodded and excitedly led the group of senior brothers to the floating island. When they were near, the army took precautions to bring Liu Gang to the floating island. I am Liu Gang. Greetings to Eunuch Liu and Mr. E. Liu Gang said respectfully. Liu Jin looked at Liu Gang with a smile and said, Liu Gang, you have contributed greatly in this battle. I will report this to the king. Eunuch Liu, you are too polite. This is what I should do. When the king of hell was still in Carefree City, he once asked me if I wanted to be an official. Although it was just a passing remark, I remembered it in my heart. I have always wanted to repay the king of hell for valuing me. Now that I have this opportunity, how can I not do it? Liu Gang said politely. Yifeng looked at Liu Gang. Naturally, he could tell that Liu Gang was here to surrender or to win fame. However, Yifeng didn't say anything because Yin Chuan had been paying attention to this person for a long time. Liu Gang, you have done well this time. The king will not treat you unfairly. Don't worry, I will put in a good word for you in front of the king. Liu Jin said with satisfaction. Thank you, Eunuch Liu, Liu Gang said excitedly. Chapter 609. Day Sect. The sect was silent as the internal strife began. All the disciples had gathered at the foot of the main peak. Yin Chuan carried Miao on his shoulder and entered with Zhu Jiansheng. Not long after, they saw a large number of disciples confronting each other. Martial uncle, what's wrong? Zhu Jiansheng asked in surprise. Yin Chuan squinted his eyes and stopped. There's a big mess in the sect. Zhu Jiansheng said anxiously. Miao, take out the 100 swords. Yin Chuan said to Miao. Miao. Miao quickly took out 100 swords from her felt hat. Zhu Jiansheng. Yin Chuan looked at Zhu Jiansheng. He handed over a map. Martial uncle, what's this? Zhu Jianxing asked in confusion. Follow this map and place the 100 swords around the main peak. Wait for my orders. I'll go to the main peak first. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes. Zhu Jianxing nodded. Leaving Zhu Jianxing behind, Yin Chuan walked towards the main peak. Main peak, Great River Hall. Mo Wuhui. Do you really want to cause internal strife in Day's sect? Mo Wuhui, you don't have the qualifications to be the sect leader. Feng Tianyu, you betrayed your master. How can you face your father? In the Great River Hall, it was noisy. The Divine Realm experts who supported Mo Wuhui and Feng Tianyu were arguing. Why go through so much trouble? Feng Tianyu, you and Mo Wuhui have a fight. The outcome is clear. Mo Wuhui doesn't have the qualifications to be the sect leader. A black-robed man behind Feng Tianyu said lightly. Bastard, who are you? Hiding your head and showing your tail. Gao Bufan shouted coldly. The leader of the 20 black-robed men sneered. It doesn't matter who I am. What matters is that Mo Wuhui is a cripple. What did you say? Gao Bufan shouted. How dare you? Duan Sanshu also shouted angrily. Haha, Peak Master, I'll test it for you. Jiang Nan said with a sneer. Clang! Jiang Nan instantly pulled out his long sword and stabbed towards Mo Wuhui. Mo Wuhui stared coldly. Ding! Gao Bufan instantly pulled out his sword and knocked Jiang Nan's sword away with a loud bang. You're courting death, drawing your sword against the sect leader. You're deceiving your master and destroying your ancestors. San Gao, who are you trying to scare? Xing! 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 In the main hall, a group of Divine Realm experts pulled out their swords. Just now, it was just a verbal quarrel. Now, because of Jiang Nan's recklessness, they were really at loggerheads. Sword chi surrounded both sides. For a time, the main hall was filled with sword chi. In some places, sword chi collided with each other, making a dull sound. In the main hall, a fierce wind blew. The leader of the black-robed men spoke again. Feng Tianyu, we can only do this much for you. Go and challenge Mo Wuhui. Let everyone see what Mo Wuhui is like. Let's see if he is qualified. Feng Tianyu's eyelids twitched. He grabbed the hilt of his sword. Opposite him, Mo Wuhui looked coldly at him. In the main hall, sword chi shot in all directions. A battle was about to break out. Bastard, what a disgrace! Suddenly, a loud shout came from the side hall. A powerful aura rushed out. The powerful aura suppressed the group of Divine Realm and Chi Realm experts. In fact, before that imposing aura, the crowd sword auras were all forced back. Who? Jiang Nan asked in surprise. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.